got that coming up. And I don't know. It's a sad day. I know it's a sad day. The passing of Corky Rogers. And we told you about it this morning on social media. And the comments since then have been fun to watch, how much of an impact he made on so many people. And so I say it in two different ways. Sad day. So many folks lost a great head coach, a good man, a mentor in so many different ways, and a friend in a lot of different ways to this entire community. Coached around here for 4.5 decades. But I also say when you remember a man like this, who now I think is at peace and peace and not pain, and the last couple of months and even years have not been good for Corky Rogers. And we saw this coming early in the week. We had heard about it. And that happened last night when he passed away. But I think of it in a celebratory way. I get the mourning and I get the sadness of it, but I also this is to me, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was a great friend of Corky Rogers. No. But I've been doing this long enough to know now and really appreciate some of the larger-than-life figures that you meet in local sports. And back home in Rhode Island, for me, I've told the story of Ben Mondor, the Paw Sox owner, the Pawtucket Red Sox owner. He was that way to me. And he just friend to everybody, but this larger-than-life figure. And I think every place you go. For me, I've worked in 4 different markets. I could name off a bunch of guys. But I think around here, that is Corky Rogers. And Corky Rogers is larger than life when it comes to high school football, when it comes to bowls. But don't forget what it meant to Lee High School as well. He did to the west side, to the entire community of Jacksonville. That's not lost on me. I don't have to be from here to know what kind of impact he made. And we're going to try to talk to a lot of folks today. To me, you cannot talk about Corky Rogers enough on a day like today. I think he meant that much to so many people, impacted the sport of football in Jacksonville and in the state of Florida, and the accolades only tell the beginning of the story. So we'll do that. We're going to try to do that in a graceful way, with all due respect to the family, and thoughts and prayers to everybody that knew and was around Corky Rogers for all these years. But his imprint, his impact, man, we talk about local sports. We're a sports show. Well, Corky Rogers is a big part of sports here in Jacksonville, so we're going to try to do our best with some guests that are coming on to remember him and his legacy that will live long and forever here in the city of Jacksonville.
Yeah, obviously I kind of came to the game late here in Jacksonville, so I didn't know too much about Jacksonville high school football, to tell you the truth. I found out a new respect from it the past couple of years of just how talented this area is with high school football. And then when you start to learn a little more, then you learn about, Corky Rogers. And like I said, I never got to meet the guy or anything like that, but you can consider him one of the best high school coaches of all time in any area, in any era. And I think that when you can do that, Brent, with high school football, obviously, yes, you're coaching football, but you're also coaching young men, and you're molding them, and you're teaching them about life lessons, and try to be proper adults. And I think with Corky Rogers, man, I mean, obviously he had success on the field, but I think once you talk to some people, we're going to realize just how great of an influence he had to those guys as men off the field as well.
Well, and I think the significance of this is we have a lot of folks that are not from Jacksonville that listen to the show, but that are in Northeast Florida. But we all know somebody that impacted lives from a coaching standpoint like Corky Rogers, even though he might have been one in a kind in that respect when it comes to accolades and everything else. And I understand that. If you're saying, if you knew Corky Rogers well, if you played for him, you're like, no, this guy was one of a kind. I get it. But my point is, we all have somebody that probably impacted, if you were in sports, played sports, all those things. And that's the power of coaching, man. I tell it all the time to my kids, or at least talk about it sometimes around my kids. The coaches they've had in their lives, those youth coaches to this point and beyond, however long they end up playing, those are the people you remember. You've picked things up subconsciously from those folks. And if you're fortunate to get a heck of a coach, and there are differences, but if you're fortunate to get one of those, that coach can leave an impression that lasts a lifetime. And I think that's what we're getting around the Corky Rogers passing today. I think a lot of people sharing their stories about just how much he meant to them off the field, like you just mentioned, as much as on the field. So we'll get to the Corky Rogers passing. But this doesn't mean to me, there is a sad part of that. Anytime anybody passes, there's also a celebratory part of it with Corky Rogers and how many people he impacted, did it the right way. And pretty cool stuff the power a high school coach can have,
Well,
doesn't get paid millions.
Exactly.
And not get paid a lot at all, in fact, but can have a lot of impact on so many young people. I don't say just men, but now that are families and husbands and fathers and all those. Pretty cool.
Well, and listen, and whether you're a high school coach, you're coaching football, you're coaching basketball, you're coaching baseball, name the sport. If you have as much success as he had coaching high school football, number one, you're obviously doing things the right way with culture, and teaching lessons, but also it's probably going to be a little uncomfortable for those student athletes, right? Because any great team out there, Brent, I don't care how much talent you have, you still have to cultivate that talent. So I guarantee, whoever we talk to, they're going to say, yeah, maybe he was kind of that hard-nosed type of coach. But, and I came from one of those as well. And I think you can attest to this. I mean, I think you had a pretty good high school baseball coach. You've talked to him about him a couple times. But I think overall, man, like the older you get, like when you're in high school, yeah, you don't really know what's going on. Like, all right, you think you have it all figured out. This coach is yelling at you for whatever reason. It is what it is. But the older you get, and when you start applying those lessons to everyday life, like I have, or like any student athlete has, then you realize just how great of a coach you had in high school. And I think Corky Rogers is definitely one of those people.
Yeah, so we'll check in with some folks around the area that obviously were influenced and knew Corky Rogers well. One of the things about Corky Rogers, I thought, we're putting together some stories on TV. And so I was just listening. Marcel was putting together this package, and that will run tonight. And one of the things he said is he was honored recently at Bulls after he had retired, right around when he was retired. And so he was on the mic and he was talking, and he said, listen, there have been people that outcoached me, even though there are a lot of people around this area that say it was tough to outcoach Corky Rogers. They didn't always have the best athletes at Bulls, but he was that good of a coach. And he said, there were some people that actually outcoached me. I know people say they don't, but there really was. And he acknowledged that. He said, but I'm not sure there were many people, if any, that worked harder than we did.
Yeah.
And so to your point, it was a great quote. It was like, hey, we're getting after it. And they got after it. They got after it at the Bowl school. They got after it at a private school. He was able to get the most out of those kids. Which is pretty incredible. And most recently, his back and forth with Raines and Duran Wiley, and I've talked to Duran Wiley a lot over the years about this, and his impact on Duran Wiley in the Raines football program has been significant. So even his opposition learned from Corky Rogers. So we'll celebrate it. We'll talk about it, share some of the stories we've seen on social media. Leroy Butler, Edgar Bennett, Chipper Jones, Steve Spurrier, Manny Diaz, all commenting, and I'm probably missing some. Those are big names impacted and influenced by Corky Rogers. And I will say we've reached out to some of them, trying to get them on the show. We'll see if it happens or not, but we are working on it, trying to get more of those thoughts. But we also talk some football. Tom Brady. I mean, it's the buzz story right now, but it's a real deal. Here's what I think. There's a part of me that says, see you, New England. It's about time you had something not go your way. But I say, look out, AFC South. I've told you this before. I think he's coming to the AFC South.
Sure.
If
it would make sense from his standpoint.
He's coming to the AFC South. Now, there's Giants rumors and Oakland Raiders rumors, Tampa rumors. How likely are the rumors? And how likely in this next couple of weeks the narrative that he is leaving gets reversed by Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, or anybody else in New England? Let's talk about it. Your thoughts. Brady gone? Or is this a bluff? Next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Bundle up. Cold temperatures this evening and overnight with a light inland frost and freeze as temperatures drop into the 30s. Breezy and cool under mostly sunny skies tomorrow. Your Friday high in the low to mid 60s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where for a limited time,
0% financing store-wide.
Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. My family and I invested in a Connecticut system from CGC Water a while ago, and we're so glad we did. The team at CGC Water makes it so easy to get the best quality water running through my entire home and the best tasting drinking water right at my sink. And it even makes the coffee taste better. Do yourselves a favor and start the new year off right. Financing options available with approved credit. Call 904-694-2424. Tell them Brent sent you or visit cgcwater.com, your local authorized independent Connecticut dealer.
3, 2, 1. The countdown to the 50th Daytona Supercross is on. The high-flying, heart-pounding action happens Saturday, March 7th at the World Center of Racing. Get closer to the action than anywhere else on the Monster Energy AMA Supercross circuit as the top racers go bar to bar at Daytona. Don't let another second pass you by. Get tickets and trackside access by calling 1-800-PIT-SHOP or visiting DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
It happens only once every 4 years, and it's happening this Saturday. Leap Day 2020, this Saturday, the 29th of February. And what better way to celebrate this rare occasion than with something even more rare at Diamonds Direct. Come and see a special collection of precious diamonds and colored gemstones, and let us help you pick out something they will enjoy every day, but especially on every Leap Day in the future as a reminder of your love. Put this extra day of 2020 to good use and do something truly memorable with a diamond bracelet, a pair of diamond earrings, a sapphire and diamond tennis bracelet, or an exquisite certified diamond. Ask about extra savings and extra financing options on this one extra day of the year. And like with any other day of the year, you can count on Diamonds Direct for the guaranteed lowest price and a free lifetime warranty, one that will cover you for every leap year way into the future. Diamonds Direct. Take the leap and make this Saturday count. Get directions and store hours now at diamondsdirect.com.
If you have a specific medical problem, you call a specialist. Broken leg? Call an orthopedist. Cataracts? Call an ophthalmologist. At Prime Men's Medical Center, our doctors specialize in ED and PE. Listen to Dr. Rubinski, a renowned expert in men's health.
I'm Dr. Rubinski. If you're experiencing ED or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center has custom blended medications to help you last longer in the bedroom, regardless of age or past medical history, with no pain or surgery. In fact, you'll see results in the office guaranteed or your exam is free. Patients are now lasting for 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. And best of all, treatments are affordable.
Men. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, call Prime Men's Medical Center for a private consultation with our highly skilled physicians. Call 904-206-8105. 904-206-8105. 904-206-8105.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN690.
Hi, I'm Mike Mills from REM, and this is Action Sports Jacks.
Man, it's so crazy, man. I vote no. That NFLPA, the dudes at the top, the leaders, man, that they ain't looking out for the best of the players. If y'all want my vote, the Pouncey Twins vote no. And if any player, any one of our teams, if y'all heard for rent money or anything while we go through this lockout, call us. Man, we got way more money than what they had back in the days. We ain't got to worry about that. All the vets on each team stand up.
Which Pouncey was that again? Mike? Marquise?
I think it was Marquise Pouncey, if it's the Pittsburgh one, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. I mix them up.
Yeah.
But obviously, only one of them has a voice.
Yeah.
He said one will vote for both Pounceys.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I guess essentially if they're twins, they share a brain, right? That's what they always say.
I don't know about mine too.
Maybe they think alike. Who knows?
Well, I don't know, but the way the Dow Jones is looking, I might need rent too. So I'm giving them a call.
Oh, is that 401k looking a little stingy?
Oh my gosh!
I think everyone's is looking a little worse for wear right now.
Wow.
Yeah, a coronavirus, man.
Hey, just to add to your idea, Kuz, forget about the face masks for promotional use. We're just going to sell them so we can make up for everything in the 401k.
$5 a mask.
I like it. Not
good. I don't know what the latest is on that, but that's obviously becoming a huge story and a daily story. Not just the Dow Jones. I'm talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Here in the States. Mm-hmm. And I will say, it didn't stop anybody from flying. The airports were packed and people were flying. And
sure.
We'll see if it does, though. You know, I think, did I see in like Japan? Somebody said it was like the prime minister, is that what they call it? I think in Japan, they're going to close down schools for like the next 3 months or 2 months.
Well, and obviously the Olympics are going to be in 2020. They're going to be in Tokyo. So there was concerns, of the coronavirus there for athletes traveling. But I think they announced it last night that everything will still be under schedule, and they're still going to hold Olympics and everything. There's going to be no delays. So
yeah, well, and even on the from a business side, right? I saw Coke and Diet Coke might have a shortage.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, because a lot whatever is made in China, and so we'll see. That might be a good time to go cold turkey on the soda.
There you go.
If you're trying to give it up,
yeah,
might be a good time. So it could help.
How are you feeling about that right now? Did you have like your own little secret stash?
No, I mean, listen, I'm not as bad as my wife now. Diet Coke. Like, she's got, like, an IV of it at the house. Like, it goes from the fridge. There's this long tube, like, right to the bed.
just corn syrup and seltzer water just pumping through.
That's it. Like, it's like 2:30 in the morning. Gets a little a release of the tube.
You have to get that fix, man. Get it in while you can. Sorry, Steph.
Yeah, well, it does happen.
Yeah.
Hey, the CBA stuff, Pouncey just talking about it. It's interesting, right? All the guys that are making money are saying, whoa, hold the phone. You know, we got plenty of money like that, like Aaron Rodgers and everybody else. But you're not hearing the bottom end of the league saying that. And there is some momentum. This is going to be really close. And some people believe it's going to pass. I think it was DeMaurice Smith that said he thinks it's going to pass, even though it might get messy over the next week or so.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, man. I have no idea what's going on right now with the CBA because, you're hearing different words from different camps. And supposedly, like, what I think was Ian Rappaport or somebody, Adam Schefter put out of like all the, of all the CBA things in place. Well, that wasn't true. There's actually more things and more stipulations. For instance, it got announced a couple hours ago, I guess, where as far as the holdouts are concerned, there will be no more holdouts, and if a player does hold out, then he will forfeit that season like after a certain amount of games. So obviously, like, no more player holdouts. Well, to me, that's big, especially for players these days. We talk about wanting to bank on themselves and believe in themselves. If you put it in the CBA where there's no more holdouts, I gotta think the blowback for that is going to be huge. And I think for the most part, set aside from a few, vets like Marquise Pouncey, Calais Campbell kind of came out a little bit, Aaron Rodgers, man, I did not see it transpiring like this because I figured, the rookies, the first year, second year guys, they would kind of be all on the same page as the vets because I think nowadays we talked to Hayden Hurst last Friday, Brent. Hayden Hurst has a great idea of what's going on right now in the CBA, and he has his eyes close to it, as opposed to me, I was just like, man, I'm going to my second year. I'm just trying to make it, So I think players are definitely self-aware of what's going on, but for whatever reason, they're willing to accept some of the stipulation that the NFL owners have put in place. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think the players right now that agree with the CBA are selling themselves short.
You do?
I do.
And it's hard to say exactly what that is because we don't have it all in front of us.
Correct.
Right? I mean, there are reports, but it's not like we're doing the negotiations with them. So we don't know what that is. We don't know what's important. And $5 billion in a pool of money is apparently what it could be worth to the players. That's a lot of money. I mean, keep in mind, $5 billion spread across, if that's like an annual thing, spread across 300 and something players, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's not like we're talking about 5,000 players in the NFL. That's a good amount of money. So I don't know if it comes down to that. I don't know if it's the medical marijuana. We've had the 17 games continues to be a hiccup, no doubt about it. And that's what all the give on the owner's part, if any, is to get that 17th game. We pretty much know that. I think that's out there. We're not going to get deep into the CBA because it is hard to tell.
Yeah, because we don't have all the information in front of us, man.
Other than the fact that it could it's going to be voted on next week. I mean, it could seriously be done next week.
Yeah.
And that is not as far-fetched as when I put my house that it wouldn't be last week.
Sure.
I mean, now I'm starting to get worried.
So am I, man. If these are the only pair of shoes I got, Brent, what am I supposed to do without a pair of shoes now? I'm going to say this real quick, though, about the CBA. Obviously, the last time it went into place, 2011, my second year. And you remember how long that dragged out, right? And you remember how both sides were arguing and everything like that. And finally, I think it was like, 1 week into training camp where we finally figured it out and everybody agreed and we showed up. And even then, Brent,
that was because a deadline was coming.
Yeah, but
players were not going to get paid.
Yeah, but players felt like, we kind of got shortchanged a little bit.
And they did.
Exactly, and we did. So you mean to tell me a new CBA agreement that was put forth by the owners in the matter of 2 to 3 weeks right now, and it comes forward to the players, you mean to tell me that it's going to be all hunky-dory and everything is going to be fantastic all of a sudden after it took so long before the last CBA to try to agree upon things? Man, I just don't think so.
In-show betting, the over just hit for hunky-dory coming out of Austin's mouth.
Well, I'm trying to cut back on the language a little bit. So now I'm going with a bunch of terms that I've learned watching my son's shows on Disney. Hunky-dory being one of them.
Has that Dance Like a Snake song come up yet?
No.
Oh, dude. It's like that new Shark.
Oh, really?
Oh, man. Dance Like a Snake?
Yeah.
Hopefully
it's
I don't have to watch that stuff.
Just
Just take them to monster trucks, okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure. Yep.
Anyway, this is what Calais said. And Calais is a great voice of reason. We know. I mean, he might be, obviously, he's for the players. I think he's a great voice of reason that's not going to have the emotion of a Pouncey.
Exactly.
Here's what he tweeted yesterday. All players now have a chance to educate themselves on the proposed CBA. Everyone has a vote and a voice. Most reps were torn on which way to vote. I'm paraphrasing, skipping around here. As you can see by the narrow vote, it was pretty split down the middle. So now the power lies in the hands of the players for this CBA proposal to pass. So it will need a majority. That's all it needs is a majority, not like 65%, 70%, talking 50.1%. Calais says, I encourage all of you to get with your reps and empower yourself so you can make an informed decision. A lot of details in this proposal that are not in the term sheet that was leaked. As he says, I was told we have approximately 2 weeks before the players will vote. That may even be sooner. It might even be next week, as soon as, according to some reports today. Start preparing now, whether you like or dislike the proposal. Your reps need to hear from you. Your voice needs to be heard with your vote. So that's what Calais Campbell's a player up for the Jags. That's what he needs to do, should do. And again, he's a voice of reason. I think, even though he's supportive and obviously biased toward the players, I think that was a nice calming message that Calais has put out, at least for his constituents, which is the Jags locker room.
And listen, Calais Campbell is not wrong. If there's any young players right now that are listening to the show, read over everything. And I know, man, like whenever you want to update your iTunes, you never read the rules and regulations, right? Like you don't ever read the fine print anything. But I'm telling you, as young players, man, you guys got to read the fine print. And if you have questions, then ask somebody. Ask guys like Calais Campbell. Ask your agent. They'll answer the questions for you. But you have to read the fine print of this thing, man, because like I said, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of bells and whistles, and you have to make sure you do your due diligence to get the right decision for the right vote, which you want to do.
We're going to bounce around quite a bit on the show today because we are going to remember and share stories of Corky Rogers. I think that's important. So we will do that, and that's coming up in just a couple minutes. Gene Fournette actually is going to join us. He's been covering Bulls and Corky Rogers for a long time, and good friends with Corky Rogers. Wrote a nice article column today in Jacksonville.com. So he's going to join us in a bit. But before we go, I do want to talk a little bit about Brady. I mean, how stunning is this to hear it? And again, this is a report. Jeff Darlington's a good reporter, and it makes sense. There's momentum. It's just hard to put your arms around the idea that Tom Brady, at what will be 43 years old, is going to explore a different team. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense to do that. But this is a new era. You know, I'm get off my lawn guy. Larry Bird played for one team. I love that Derek Jeter played for one team. I like the one team guys. And I just didn't think it would get to this. It looks like it's going this way. And where does he end up?
You know what, man? So, first of all, I think Tom Brady's still going to be a New England Patriot.
You do? So
Absolutely.
You don't believe it?
No, I mean, well, he's going to be a free agent, test the market, possibly.
Well, you think he ends up
but
back
he's
in New
going
England?
to end back in New England, you know? And I think once this whole CBA agreement gets figured out, I think then they'll have like a better idea of what's going to happen with Tom Brady. But I'm going to say this, man. It's the New England Patriots, okay? They always have a plan. If Tom Brady was to leave right now and go with the Tennessee Titans, go with the Indianapolis Colts, what's the plan then for the New England Patriots? They don't have one right now.
Doesn't look like it.
Exactly. So the New England Patriots are going to do everything in their power to try to keep Tom Brady. We've seen this happen in the past when they got Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo was the backup plan, right? I don't think they expected Tom Brady to play for another, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I think Jimmy Garoppolo was put in place where, you know what? Tom Brady on the back nine of his career, maybe he's got 1, 2 more good years, and then Jimmy Garoppolo's team. Well, Obviously, Tom Brady still had success. Jimmy Garoppolo got traded. So I'm just saying, from the Patriots' perspective right now, they don't have a backup plan in place. I'm not sure how the draft's going to shake out this year, but I don't see them targeting a high-valued quarterback. So with that being said, man, Tom Brady's going to stay a Patriot.
Really? That'll be interesting. Okay, if he's not, two things real quick. Where do you see the most likely landing spot? Because for me, I'll jump in.
Sure.
I've said the AFC South. It makes so much sense. Obviously not Houston and not here in Jacksonville, but Indianapolis with Frank Reich. And I do think there's how much does Tom care about history and Peyton Manning played there and all that stuff?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I think that's fascinating, but it's a good offensive line. Frank Reich is a well-respected guy. I could see it. I just think he ends up in Tennessee. I think we see him twice a year, Vrabel. And they have what he would probably say, I can work with this. Derrick Henry, bring him back. Wide receivers, young.
A.J. Brown showed promise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tight ends.
Yeah.
Good offensive line. Delaney Walker's on the down. Is he even under contract anymore?
I think Delaney Walker's coming back, but also you have Jonnu Smith, who showed some promise, but once again, kind of injury bug a little bit.
But a pretty good offensive line.
Very good offensive line.
Tough-nosed football team.
Correct.
I mean, it's probably the best spot to go win. I mean, they just made it to the AFC Championship game.
Sure.
Now, you know how I feel about Tennessee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be scared of that, by the way, if I'm anybody in the AFC South. I wouldn't be scared of it. But I think it's the most intriguing option and chance to be successful option, even more than Indianapolis for Brady.
Well, and you got to keep in mind, too, Brady obviously wants to win, right? Like, he's not trying to go to a team that has a rebuilding project.
Why would you do that?
He's trying to go and win right now, So from that perspective, I think, especially in the AFC South, man, let's be honest here, where the Titans have had some success, obviously, last season. The Colts have been okay. So, yeah, I think the Titans would definitely be the front runner for Tom Brady. But once again, man, I can't state it enough. I think that dude's staying in New England.
Yeah. I don't know. I believe the reports, man.
Should we make it interesting?
Yeah, I think it will make it interesting.
No, I'm saying, should we make it interesting?
Oh, in terms of a bet?
A bet. Just
let's do
a gentleman's bet?
Well, not just a gentleman's bet. I'm not just shaking your hand.
Okay.
Putting something on it.
Okay, all right. Deal.
I want to ask you one other question.
Yeah.
We can talk more about it later. If the Patriots, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. Who would you go get if you were the Patriots? Out of anybody on the market, would you go say, "Hey, okay, Tannehill, we'll give you a shot"?
Free agent. Good call. I would probably lead Tannehill. Obviously, you don't go Phillip Rivers. I think he's a little too old.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, I think too mistake prone. I would probably go Ryan Tannehill. Yeah. As crazy as that sounds. Well, who else is? I mean, give me another free agent like Teddy Bridgewater. Not a bad pick. Yeah. I mean, I guess, listen, it all depends, too, with, like, offensive coordinators and, like, do they have any connections, things like that. So I have to, like, do my due diligence a little bit. But I can see Ryan Tannehill for some reason.
Trade for Nick Foles?
Oh, now we're talking. Well, that's a great question. Would you rather have Ryan Tannehill or Nick Foles if you're the New England Patriots? If Tom Brady leaves, who are you taking, Brent?
I would rather have Nick Foles.
Yeah.
I'm just not high on Tannehill. I think he just had a 2-month bump.
Yeah.
And that's it. All right, we got to go. When we come back, we'll talk more about the NFL and more about the Jags and the linebackers and more about the quarterbacks, all that stuff, and even more about the CBA. We're getting some CBA questions. But next, a little more on Corky Rogers. We'll have that. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. The Players' Championship is almost here. Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Do you have your tickets yet? Win a couple of weekly Captain's Club tickets and a shopping spree in the new PGA Tour fan shop with me. Yeah, I'll dress you for the Players. Enter to win right now on the contest page on ESPN690.com. Win tickets to the Players' Championship and a shopping spree at the Players' Championship from ESPN 690.
Luxury begins at the door of Atlantic Infiniti with your concierge, no-pressure customer experience.
Only one Atlantic Infiniti.
Experience the wave of luxury in person at 10980 Atlantic Boulevard or at atlanticinfinity.com.
Most people don't realize there is a Holocaust gallery right here in Jacksonville at Jewish Family and Community Services. Also, there are many Holocaust survivors that live locally. The Frisch Family Holocaust Memorial Gallery features rotating exhibits, making it a great free resource to schools, civic groups, anyone. And it's so important we remember, especially our youth. Jewish Family and Community Services, here for remembrance, Here for Jax. Learn more at hereforjax.com.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Web Team, like Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish, rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. And that means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
It's the home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18, and it can be your home course as well. The Golf Club at Southampton in North St. Johns County, located off County Road 210, family owned and operated, and a fun course to play. The Golf Club at Southampton offers club membership programs starting at just $79. With its elite practice facility and player-friendly golf course design, it will be your gateway to a great time with the family or with your buddies. Become a member in 2020. For more information, call the Golf Club at Southampton at 904-287-PLAY.
Are you looking for a venue to celebrate your special occasion that guests can't stop talking about? Call Riverside North Special Events and Banquet Hall. We specialize in anniversaries, weddings, birthday parties, corporate meetings, family reunions, fundraisers, graduations, and funerals. This unique, all-inclusive, full-service venue is the way to go. Call us today at 354-4162 and let us book your next event. All proceeds from bookings benefit the Clara White Mission.
The NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series is headed to Gainesville Raceway for the Emily Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, March 12th through 15th. Kids 12 and under are free in general admission. Get tickets early and save at NHRA.com.
It's happening, people. Our friends at Arlington Toyota are getting a brand new state-of-the-art showroom. And that means the old stuff is coming down, and so are Arlington's prices. I'm talking up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020 models. How about a 2020 Toyota Corolla? It's not $18,095. Now it's only $14,991. That's $14,991 for a pre-owned 2020 Toyota Corolla at Arlington. And if you've got to have a 2019 Toyota RAV4, it's not $24,195. No, now it's $21,581. Just $21,581 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota RAV4 at Arlington. Plus, you get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, which includes a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Construction is underway and prices are coming down at Arlington Toyota. So get in today and pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/construction sale for offer details.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz.
I think what we have to remember here is that we all define MVP differently. What does MVP mean? Most valuable is a very gray area. Putting best player in as MVP, and I don't know that they're the same thing because ultimately right now, arguably the best player in the NBA is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz from 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jags and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN690 and ESPN690.com.
Hey, welcome back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Brent Martineau along with Austin Lane. Coos here, back in studio, back from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. We'll have some Combine talk. We'll have some talk about the Jags. We always do. And this one around the linebacker situation. Also, the drills start tonight, and more guys on the podium today, including the big guys on the defensive front. Did we hear from potentially the 9th overall pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier today in Indianapolis? We'll debate that a little bit. But right now, we are, I think, obviously mourning in Jacksonville the loss of Corky Rogers, legendary Lee and Bowles head football coach, one of the best in the country at the high school levels, winningest coach in the state of Florida, 10 state championships at Bowles, all those accolades. So there is mourning going on, but there's also a celebration of what Corky Rogers accomplished in 4.5 decades on the sidelines and how many people he impacted. And that includes our next guest. And you know him well from the Florida Times Union, Gene Fournette, joining us right now. And as covered and known Corky Rogers for decades. I know you had to write a tough one today, Gene. It was very well done on Jacksonville.com. So sorry for the loss of one of your good friends. But, wow, what an impact Corky Rogers has made here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, no, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. But what I hope comes out of all this is that whatever gut punch people are feeling over his passing, that they remember that how blessed they were, to have him in their life, whether they were a player, whether they were a coach, or whether they were just a person you met because you knew somebody that Corky knew, and it's funny because I must have tweaked what I wrote today about 4 or 5 times, and one of the things that just came to my mind was that was the idea that a lot of people collect things. They collect stamps, they collect coins, they collect art, collect whatever. And it occurred to me that what Corky collected was friends, because he, and part of it certainly is being a successful football coach. That certainly goes along with it. But it was kind of the way he was as a person. I just got off the phone with Matt Toblin, and it was his graciousness, and it was his humility. The more success he had, sometimes the more success you have, sometimes the more arrogant a person can become. But success had the opposite effect on him. It just humbled him even more. And there was a genuine humility because, I've had so many conversations with him, thousands of them over the course of 39 years of knowing him. And he would always talk about what he didn't do right than what he did right, whether it was a decision on the field, something, it could be something at home, but he always focused on what he needed to do to be better, which is, probably one of the things that was a hallmark and was a reason why his teams were so consistently successful, because he never rested on his laurels, that's for sure.
Gene Fournette from the Florida Times Jr. with us talking about Corky Rogers. The late Corky Rogers passed away last night. The news spread of that this morning. He had been sick for weeks and months and years, and really this week took turn for the worse. So I think a lot of folks had quietly heard that this could happen this week. Legendary coach and man. And Gene, I know everybody's got stories about Corky Rogers, but we covered him just how we would cover anybody else. And what I appreciate as a guy who's not from here, and this town can be a good old boy network at sometimes, right? And you didn't feel that with Corky Rogers. In fact, one of my favorite things about Corky Rogers is that you would call him, and nowadays you call everybody on their cell phone or text them on their cell phone or call them at the school. You know where you called Corky Rogers? If you needed to do it at the office or at his home.
Yep.
His wife Linda would answer, or he would answer, and you called him at his home. Very few coaches now that I've been doing this 20 years, now in this day and age, do you call them at their home. You call them on their cell phone or somewhere else. And so it was a little bit of reverence there, even in that. But when he picked up the phone, it was like I had known him as long as you knew him, Gene Fournette. So that you appreciate that about people, and especially with all the accolades and what he had accomplished. It was always cool to go to a Bulls practice. I said this to Austin earlier in the show. I said, there's always these folks that you run into. I've been in 4 different markets. I grew up in Rhode Island. There's always those kind of people that seem larger than life. And Corky Rogers was that, but you just explained in a tremendous way. There was just this humility about him that didn't feel that when you were right next to him.
Yeah, he never made you feel like you were talking to some sort of iconic figure or anything like that. That was never what, I mean you gotta remember he grew up on the West Side, was the only child of a father who was, very sports minded, and I might add was a former sports writer for the Associated Press. Corky used to go to the Florida football games because his father was working the games in the press box. And so he grew up watching Florida football and going to boxing matches, things like that. But I want to share you one story about the cell phone that you talked about. I can now say publicly that Corky actually did have a cell phone. But the only reason he had that cell phone is because his wife, Linda, insisted on him having it if she needed to reach him. He gave that number out to nobody. Nobody knew what the cell phone number was except Linda. And because she wanted to be able to reach, if something came up, she wanted to be able to reach him.
That's awesome.
So that was the technology compromise that Corky and Linda had on the cell phone.
Fantastic.
Gene, when we talk about him, by the way, it's Austin Lane. Gene, great to hear from you, man. When we talk about Corky Rogers as a coach, you just said, like he never used his cell phone. One could think, well, this is definitely an old school guy. How can he relate to his players? But players are coming out of the woodwork right now, Gene, sharing their thoughts on Corky Rogers and saying just how great of a person he was. What do you attribute to a guy, who used to run the wing T, who was kind of set in his ways that way, but always seemed to get the most out of his players? Where does that attribute come from?
Well, I think one of the things that he benefited from is he grew up at a coaching age where you could still be pretty darn stern with players, okay? So when he started out in coaching at Lee, and the Lee players can tell you this, okay, you could do a lot more things as a coach back then to discipline players than you could now. Hey, when he was at Lee, when you walked into that office, that big wooden paddle was hanging by the door, okay? And every player in that program knew what that paddle meant. And that paddle meant, don't you dare get a bad report card that makes you ineligible. Don't do that. And, now, if a paddle was hanging by a coach's door today, he'd be going before the school board, and boom, he'd be out the door, right?
Absolutely.
But my point is that I think growing up in an era where coaches were, I would say, more revered and their authority was less questioned, helped him in, he grew up the West Side mentality. I always, he called himself the park rat. Okay, if I ever did a book on Corky Rogers and he didn't want one done, that would be the title of the book, The Park Rat, and that would be my pick. But anyway, he would play. He grew up near Murray Hill Park, but he would go at Lackawanna Park. Woodstock Park was a lot of pickup baseball games. Wherever there was a game and he wasn't in school, he was usually at the park. And this went on from age 6 and 7 all the way up to 15, 16, or whatever time in high school you stopped going to the park as much. But that was his life. And his dad was involved in sports, and his life revolved around sports. And, he almost went to Florida on a basketball scholarship, but Norm Sloan pulled the scholarship at the last minute, and he ended up going to play football at Georgia Tech.
How about that?
He goes to he played a little bit of cornerback at Georgia Tech. He played a little bit of receiver. Goes into an NFL training camp and goes with the Redskins as a receiver, doesn't make it, comes back the next year as a tight end, puts on weight, and goes into the 68 training camp with the Colts, where they went to the Super Bowl that year with the Jets. And they only had 40-man rosters then, or maybe it was 44, but you only had room for 2 tight ends, and one of the tight ends was John Mackey. Well, you weren't taking his job, so there was one slot available for a backup tight end, and Shula called him into the office and said, "Hey, I really would love to keep you, Corky, but we're going to go with, I can't remember what the guy's name, but it was a tight end from Auburn." So they went, that's how Corky Rogers' NFL career ended, with Don Shula saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'd like to keep you, but."
Unbelievable. From one great coach to who became another great coach, obviously at the high school ranks, in Corky Rogers. Gene Fournette with us from the Florida Times Union here on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. And I just love talking about this man's legacy. And I did have a question. I want to ask you about Lee High School in just a moment, but you brought up the book. I was going to ask you about that. He did not want one because I thought for sure you would have written one by now or had one in the plans. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't want to give away too much, but I will say this: a family member had approached me about it, whether I would have some interest. And I said, "Well, yeah, sure." But I never heard back, and that told me that Corky didn't. He got word from Corky that he probably wasn't. I know that another person approached him about it while he was still coaching, and he didn't want to do it.
Okay.
And so I always respected his wishes, and listen. I've got enough memories and things in my head about Corky, and done enough stories on him that I feel like I could certainly write a book. and I will, I may mull it over, but again, I'm not going to do anything that the family doesn't want.
Yeah.
Okay? And I would never. My friendship with Linda and his daughters and it means too much to me to do. You always try to respect somebody's wishes. So I was always very, very respectful of that. But if the opportunity came and it was acceptable, it's certainly something that would intrigue me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's good of you to respect the wishes of a family. Obviously leaves behind his wife, Linda, 2 daughters, and well, I don't know, Gene, maybe 1,500 sons or so, I guess, in terms of the high school football ranks.
Yeah, it's ironic that he had a couple daughters because we used to always say, gosh, if he ever had a son, how hard would Corky be on that guy?
Good point. Hey, here's the deal, Gene. I've been here a dozen years, and if there's so much so many new folks that come into Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. And I'm sure by now, if you've been here even a handful of years, you've heard the name Corky Rogers and know what he's done. And you know it by what they did at Bowles and 10 state championships and all the wins and 28 years at that program. What I often kind of feel bad about, I don't know if I should feel bad about it, but I think you forget about, or people don't talk about enough, what he did at Lee High School and Edgar Bennett and Leroy Butler and all the great players, but all winning games in the backyard. And I think putting that program on the map and how good they were. I think it was 17 years he coached there. Can you give us that perspective a little bit? And how did he get from Lee to Bowles? When did that transition and why did that transition take place?
Well, I hope you got some airtime left.
We got about 5 minutes.
Okay. So anyway, let's start with the legacy at Lee. Okay. The team was 1-9. Unfortunately, under previous head coach Leon Barrett, who was Corky's defensive coordinator during his entire time at Lee, and they went 5-5 the first year under Corky. They beat Jackson in the Gator Bowl, and Wayne Belger, who was his longtime assistant coach for 40 years, he was the quarterback in that game. So gradually the Lee program got turned around. But there's 2 differences between Lee and Bowles. Number one, state championships were far harder to win back in the 1970s and early 80s. There was only 4 classifications. There wasn't like 8 classifications. There is now, where classifications in some instances get a little watered down, and it's a little bit easier to get to a state semifinal or a final and then win it. There was no easy path back then, and it was brutal just to win a district title back then. So anyway, there was a really case of bad luck one year. They had Corky's best team was 1980. They go undefeated. They make it to the state semifinals, and they're playing Gainesville up at Old Florida Field on their artificial turf. And Lee does not have their starting quarterback. He gets hurt, so they got to play the backup. Jimmy, I can't remember what Jimmy's last. Todd Wilkins was the starter, and Jimmy somebody was the backup. And he wasn't as good as the starter. But anyway, they're on the 1-yard line with about a minute to go. They're down, I want to say it was like 19-14, something like that. They're down by 5 or 4 or something like that. And they have first and goal at the 1. Of course, keep in mind, you got the backup quarterback. Well, the rule of thumb at Lee, and I don't know if it was still applied at Bowles, if you had goal to go on the 1, you always went on the immediate snap count. You always went on 1 because you didn't want to risk jumping, a false start and all that stuff by going. So apparently, the story goes, when some of the players broke the huddle, there was some uncertainty amongst some players as to what Jimmy called as for the actual snap count. And it resulted in one of the worst false starts in the history of high school football. Long story short, they get backed up to the 6 and they never got in. And Gainesville turned around and easily won the following week. And then 4 years later, they play Emmett Smith in Escambia, and was considered the greatest high school football game in Jacksonville. They lose in 4 overtimes.
Held them to 100 yards, right?
Held them to 97 yards. The All-State kicker, Tommy Fowler. Tommy's listening right now. He's going to go, thanks for bringing this up. The All-State kicker missed a couple field goals, and he missed two extra points in the game. Just happenstance. Yeah, they lost in 4 overtimes, 28-25, and Emmett Smith's team went on and easily won the next 2 games to win the state title. So a little bit of bad luck at Lee.
Yeah.
Now, as far as how he got from Lee to Bowles had been after him for about 2 or 3 years. Frank Callahan, the late athletic director, had been wanting to get Corky over there for a while. It actually was a perfect storm. Corky, in the spring of '88, gets hit by the car.
Yeah.
So gets hit by the car, drunken driver, requires 17, 19 leg surgeries. Okay. That fall in 1988, Corky also taught like 2 or 3 math classes at Lee. And for some unforeseen reason I could not explain, Lee High School, his alma mater, where he had already been coaching like 16 years, decided to put his classroom on the second floor, with this leg impairment, So that he'd have to either go up the stairs or take, and that kind of stuck in Corky's craw a little bit.
Wow.
That they put him on the second floor. So when the next spring arrived, and same time, Lee's program was kind of diminishing a little bit. So they were losing the reins a little bit more often. They didn't go to their run of 10 straight district titles had stopped, and all of a sudden Bowles comes calling, and all of a sudden the idea of going to the private high monkey monk private school on the south side of town doesn't seem like such a bad idea, because they want you, and they're allowing him to take Wayne Belger with him. They're allowed to take one coach. And then he went and imposed his West Side mentality over there and got the weight room thing going. And once he won that first state championship in '91, trailing by 11 points with 6 minutes to go, and they just went down. And after scoring only 3 points the whole game, scored 2 touchdowns, beat Bishop Moreau 17-14. And that kind of began the whole run.
Wow, how about that? Good stuff.
But it was it was a little bit of combination of feeling wanted by Bowles and feeling a little bit slighted by Lee that previous year.
Yeah, the leap over to Bowles maybe decided by 14 steps or so.
Yeah. I mean, that's not all of it, but just a little bit.
Well, that's good. Bit. That's good insight. Gene Fournette from the Florida Times-Union. Go read his article, Jacksonville.com. Did a tremendous job. I know he's a great friend of yours, and really, like you said, he's a great friend to so many, even if we all weren't as close as you were to him. Gene, I feel like we all should have had a cold one right next to us, talking about the stories of Corky Rogers. Maybe you do, but we don't.
I'll tell you what, next Thursday, if you're, of course, you probably have your show, but anyway, the services, they're going to have a graveside service for Corky next Thursday. There's no formal funeral mass, but there will be a life celebration sometime next Thursday afternoon. The location still... there's a location they've got in mind, but they haven't firmed that up yet.
Okay. We'll keep everybody posted on that. Thanks for your insight, man. I appreciate it. We'll look forward to your coverage of the late Corky Rogers as the days go along.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Gene.
Gene Fournette, Florida Times-Union. We'll talk some NFL football when we come back. Action Sports Shacks on ESPN690.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
Tax problems can be extremely stressful and cause financial devastation. The tax attorneys at J. David Tax Law are right here in Jacksonville to be your personal advocate and resolve your IRS or state sales tax issues. J. David Tax Law focuses on your needs and case outcomes. Don't be fooled by these big out-of-town tax companies that only focus on getting you to sign up and pay without even working with an attorney. At J. David Tax Law, only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you. Get the help you need with tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, and unfiled returns. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, Have a sit-down with J. David Tax Law. Your first step is a no-cost consultation. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777. 904-507-4777. Peace of mind only a click or phone call away. 904-507-4777. Or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Hey guys, Mike Golick here. Athletes are still athletes when they're off the field. That's why they still need to make good choices, like staying hydrated with Bolt 24, with antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolyte from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial sweeteners or flavors. Bolt 24 is all-day hydration for all-day athletes. It's available in delicious flavors like watermelon, strawberry, tropical mango, and mixed berry, and can be found in the sports drink aisle at most major retailers. Bolt 24, all-day hydration.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best 4G LTE networks, same as the big carriers, but just for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, saving you up to half the cost of the big carriers. No contract. Full court coverage, half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
It's a leap year, so leap into savings now at your neighborhood Ace. Wild Delight Birdseed, your choice of 3 blends, just $9.99 each. In colder weather, high-energy suet is an especially good bird food. Now 69 cents per packet at Ace. Fertilome Weed and Feed for St. Augustine grass, just $19.99 per bag. For fertilizers, garden soil, potting mix, mulch, and more, shop your nearby Ace Hardware. Find great deals and the location nearest you at acehardware.com. Sale ends March 2nd.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware. Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports one reason why the Patriots and quarterback Tom Brady aren't talking about a contract right now is the uncertainty over a new collective bargaining agreement. But ESPN's Jeff Darlington reports Brady now believes he will be playing somewhere else in 2020. As for the pending vote on that new deal, here's ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum.
A team may have tagged 2 players, and then they're going to have to, one of those tags will become null and void. We've never been in a situation like that. It really bears watching. And again, Tennessee and Dallas are the 2 hot spots right now.
The Cowboys met this week with quarterback Dak Prescott's agent for the first time since September. The team is hoping not to have to use the franchise tag on Prescott. Indians reliever Emmanuel Clase could be out up to 3 months with a strained back muscle. Clase came over from Texas in the Corey Kluber trade. With growing concerns about the spread of the coronavirus, all boxing cards scheduled for Japan in March have been canceled, and the Japan Baseball League will play the rest of the preseason with no fans.
Vivid Seats, the top ticket source for the live events you crave, now has a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. Go to the App Store or Google Play, download the Vivid Seats app, and enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
I think I'm all around the best. I think I can run block, I can pass block. I'm coachable, technician. I think that's what makes me the best.
That's Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman out of Georgia. Will the Jags go there? I told you the other day, no. I talked to some folks last night, not Jags folks, but some, that's what you do. I talked to some folks in Indianapolis.
Sure you did.
Who doesn't talk to folks in Indianapolis?
Did you rub some elbows a little bit?
Rub some elbows.
Yeah.
Not really. I probably should have done more of it. Not very good at that.
Well, that's good because that means you were networking with other radio stations as well. So we're going to have you for another year. So that's fantastic. I'm glad you didn't talk to anybody.
But there is a mindset amongst some people that do kind of know the Jags or cover the Jags or been around the Jags like that will go get one of those offensive tackles or could do that and maybe move Cam Robinson, or I just don't buy it. I don't think so. I think they have so many holes, other spots, that's not, I don't want to say worth the upgrade, because if you can get a guy that you think is going to be a stud for the next 10 years, of course it's an upgrade over a guy that you're still not sure about in Cam Robinson. I'm not saying that wouldn't be a smart move for the organization and the future of the organization, everything. You're talking about a win-now mentality, man. If you got a win-now mentality, I don't see them doing that. It's based off what they've said about Cam Robinson, based off what they've said about their offensive line, and quite frankly, based off a guy that you really don't know. I mean, he could be good. I don't think anybody has closed the book on Cam Robinson. Maybe some have, but I don't get the sense that we know what Cam Robinson is. So to say, they have to do that. And by the way, the whole move into the guard, I mean, we saw that with Jokel and other. You don't just move people around and say, oh, yeah, we're going to move people around. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. When you start saying, hey, we're going to move people around, usually problems exist with that.
I get that, Brent, but let's look at it from this angle, though. And we broke down the offensive line, 2 days ago? And I kind of went through position by position, and I said, yeah, I mean, there might be a couple question marks there, but overall, you're maybe not too worried about it, and you have to make it work. Now, I think as far as the coaching is concerned, obviously being the most penalized team in the NFL, well, a lot of that came from the offensive line. So that needs to be cleaned up. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But I think if you're Dave Caldwell, now, because this really stems from Dave Caldwell saying that he likes what he has, right?
No, Marone did too, though.
And Marone,
so they seem like they're on the same page.
Okay, they're on the same. Well, I hope so. Okay,
I mean, is that smoke screen? I don't think we're in smoke screen territory
we're
yet.
not in smoke screen mode. But let's be honest, though, you're kind of in salvage mode a little bit, because once again, you were awarded an extra life. We thought Dave Caldwell and Doug Marone were going to be gone for the 2020 season. They get awarded an extra life. So now, you don't think Shad Khan's watching everything that they say? And you don't think Shad Khan's watching with the microscope going, you know what? If you're Dave Caldwell, you're not going to say, I'll tell you what, man, our offensive line, I'm not a fan of it. We definitely have to upgrade, because if you do that, then it shows that you're not doing your job properly. So from Dave Caldwell's perspective, of course you got to say you have a great offensive line, man, because you're in charge of putting it together.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, but you can't do that. I mean, maybe it's two different conversations with the owner. It's a dangerous thing to do with the owner if you don't feel that way, because the owner already, way back in his first year, said, hey, Gene Smith, Mike Mularkey, they told me they were going to be able to win, and they didn't. See ya. You know, so, and by the way, we could be in a see ya year if they don't win here in Jacksonville anyway, so maybe it doesn't matter. I just didn't get the – listen, you can sense when there's smoke screens. I thought this was consistent messaging and has been. Even when I talked to Caldwell at the Senior Bowl, mentioned his affinity for Cam Robinson. And so – I don't know. I just don't feel like they're going offensive line. And not just based on the words. I don't know if I would do it, is my point. Like, I don't know if I would. They have too many other things to do that I'm not sure I'm taking the flyer on the offensive tackle here in the first round for the Jaguars. I like big. I like going big. And I really started to say that at the end of the season. Like, hey, give me big guys, big guys, big guys. So I understand the move. And you have to be more physical, right? Baltimore, San Francisco, Tennessee. But when you have so many holes, I think you have to weigh what you have versus the upgrade, and I'm not sure you're going to get it, especially in the first year with a rookie coming in instead of Cam Robinson.
No, I hear you, man, but to say that you're happy with your offensive line, well, I get that, but guess what? You had the most penalized offensive line last year in the NFL. So to say you like what you see, I mean, you may, but you have a lot of things to clean up, man, because I said all the time on the show, you cannot be the most penalized team in the NFL and win football games. You are not built to do that. You aren't the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. So are you excited about it? I hope you are. I hope you're excited about your roster, but at the same time, there's still a lot of work.
I'm excited about the offensive line.
Okay.
I'm just trying to fill holes in the draft.
But I'm saying, man, from the perspective of you like what you get, you can like it all you want, man, but the fact remains you had the most penalized offensive line last year, and that's got to get cleaned up. Whether you bring new guys in or you keep the same guys, it's got to get cleaned up.
Yeah. And by the way, one last thought on that. I like continuity on the offensive line, and that makes you better. I will say that I'll give them this excuse, the offensive line. They did not all work together until the game started in September. Some of that was injuries because they had to get Cam Robinson ready to go. Some of that was the lack of playing time in August, whether that was a mistake by Marone. I'm not bailing them out. I'm just saying that's reality. And I do believe that the more you play together as a unit on the offensive line, that helps. I mean, we've seen that throughout the league. I always refer to the Giants because Giants had a young offensive line when they won that Super Bowl, but they had then played together for 3 years, 4 years maybe, And then that's when they became pretty good. So I do like that part. All right, I don't want to talk about the offensive line. That's not fun. I want to talk about the middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Myles Jack. Doug Marrone brought up Myles Jack. And do we read between some words and some messaging here from Doug Marrone at the Combine a couple days ago?
When we look at Myles, first of all, he's doing really well. He's rehabbing well, and we're excited. He'll be back sometime in mid-March. I think that, we're going to make sure that we better the team as a whole. And the one thing about Myles is, Myles has been great. Obviously, he's a guy that is super talented. He's played multiple positions for us already. And, getting him comfortable is really what my main goal is, and putting him in a spot where, he can go and play and maybe not have to worry about a lot of other people. But, he's done a good job. He's been able to call the defenses for us, been a leader on that side of the football. I think at the end of the day, whatever combination is going to make us a better player, that's what we're going to do. But we're going to do that, in discussions with the player first before we, publicly go out there and tell people exactly what we're doing.
Well, that's Doug Marrone talk about the communication, which is a good thing. But I think it's funny because last April, maybe, remember, we were out there at that bowling event for Calais Campbell, and we had the quotes. I mean, I'd asked Myles Jack about being middle linebacker and could he go to – because we had the discussions, and he was adamant about middle linebacker. He'd been in training for that. Well, it didn't go so well for him. So I don't know where he's going to play. Do you think he'll be the middle linebacker? Do you think they make the move? And if they make the move, who are they going to get to play middle linebacker? Is that a free agency grab for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
First of all, I'm curious to see Todd Wash's comments about Myles Jack playing middle linebacker, because he was one that was adamant that Myles Jack is indeed a middle linebacker. From my perspective, I mean, I'm just going to keep on echoing what I've been saying since the past, the start of training camp last year, where I said, name me a team where your most athletic freak on defense plays middle linebacker. And you probably can't do it because that's not what your athletic guy does, okay? Not to say Myles Jack can eventually, turn himself into a good middle linebacker. I'm sure he can. But I just think with his speed, with his power, with his athleticism, you're doing him a disservice by putting him in the middle of the field and saying, you know what, you have to diagnose this, you have to diagnose this, you have to diagnose this. No, man, turn that kid loose and just let him play. Let him run around. And unfortunately, the middle linebacker, it's not so easy to do.
Yeah, and they might have just listened to the player too much in this regard. Maybe they just said, hey, he really wants to be there. We're going to give him a chance to be there. I don't know. They were a mess at linebacker overall last year for a myriad of reasons. That brings me to Isaiah Simmons, a guy without a position, but is listed as a linebacker. Do you see him playing linebacker in the NFL? And could you then bring in another guy that is super athletic, freaky athletic, and where would he play? Or does that not make sense because you do have Myles Jack already as that freaky linebacker? But the thing I say about Simmons is, one, you're a weak at linebacker, and two, you are looking for star players. And I look at him, could he potentially be Derwin James-esque? I think the comp he made was Tyrann Mathieu. I think somebody said today, or maybe he said it.
Yeah, Lance Zierlein, NFL analyst from Combine, NFL.combine.com, compared him to Darius Leonard. So he's all over the place.
Yeah, so those guys, and you know what those guys do? They make plays.
Sure.
But is Myles Jack already kind of in the middle, not middle linebacker, but in the middle of your defense doing that? Do you need another one of those guys? Like, where would Simmons be on your wish list for the Jags, and how would he fit?
Listen, so I've been pretty adamant about how I feel about Isaiah Simmons, right? Because everyone's saying this dude is a freak of nature. He can play safety. He can rush the passer. He can play outside linebacker. He can play inside linebacker. This guy can do it all. He's a jack of all trades. Fantastic, man. Myles Jack was that guy as well. Jabril Peppers, coming out of Michigan, granted a little smaller. Jabril Peppers had a 6.8 combine grade after the combine. He had the highest vertical jump. He had the best 40-yard dash. And he had the best broad jump out of the linebacking group. All right? There was so much hype around Jabril Peppers. How is he doing now? Just okay. Didn't work out in Cleveland, playing for New York now. When you got a guy like Isaiah Simmons, yes, I see the Twitter video of him racing the running back and almost, I think he beat him or whatever it was.
ETN, yeah.
Dude, that's fantastic, and that's great. But at the end of the day, that guy can only play the spot at one field at one time, right? Like, you can't have the guy just walk around wherever he pleases because you have to build the team around it. So is Isaiah Simmons intriguing? Absolutely. Will he put up freakish combine numbers? Without a doubt. All I want to know is what spot is he going to play? Is he going to be a linebacker or is he going to be safety? Because to me right now, Brent, the Jaguars don't have the luxury of taking Simmons and being like, you know what, we're going to put him in this spot and then we're going to put him over here in this spot, because you don't have the guys on defense. You don't have the talent, I think, on defense right now to be able to do that with somebody.
Yeah, does he almost confuse you as a staff and coach, and almost to the point where Myles did? I know this sounds kind of silly, but when a guy can do too many things, do you not know what to do with him?
Yeah.
You know? Well, and, I mean, the Jags have been in that situation before where they've tried to put too many things on a player's plate, and the guy's versatile. Well, we've learned this. Come into the league and be an NFL player and learning like 15 positions is not ideal. And Myles will say that. He had his head spinning in year one because they had him all over the place. And so I think he's a good example. Like, they should go to school on what they did with Myles Jack. And while I don't think Simmons and Myles Jack are like the same player, I do think their athleticism speaks to their versatility, which also could get the Jags in a similar situation. It was like, okay, where do we put this guy? Not where he wants to be, but where he's best for us.
Well, and to be fair, too, I mean, as far as body types are concerned, like I brought up Jabril Peppers. He was only like 5'11", I believe.
I felt he was a small guy,
Myles Jack, like 6'1". I mean, Isaiah Simmons is 6'4".
6'4".
Okay. And
can he play tight end?
Exactly, right? Can he play both ways? Listen, I think with Isaiah Simmons, 6'4", 238 right now. To me, that's obviously a prototypical outside linebacker. I'd like to see him put on some more size if you wanted to play middle linebacker. Obviously, safety, too. You can put him back there. But, man, 6'4" safety, that's freakish. But to be fair, once again, I don't want to draft guys where you want to see potential. Like, I want to bring in a guy and be like, you know what? You're a safety. Boom. Put your safety spot. You're a linebacker. Put you in the linebacker spot. The last thing I want to do with Isaiah Simmons is maybe bulk him up a little bit, have him play middle linebacker, and maybe his body doesn't respond well to that, right? Like, when guys add 15, 20 pounds sometimes, you don't necessarily get the best output, what you want from your player. So I would rather draft a guy knowing where you're going to put him since day one, as opposed to, all right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what he can do, and then put him in a position. I want to get a guy that I know is going to play a certain spot. Not to say Isaiah Simmons can't play a certain spot, but I don't want to draft a guy on intrigue. I want to draft a guy on talent at one spot.
6'4", 238. Can you replace Yannick Ngakoue?
How much does Yannick Ngakoue wear now?
6'2", 246.
There you go.
And nobody believes he's 246.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, all the tangibles.
But people
of
don't
speed,
see him there, right? I mean, they see him as a pass rusher. I mean, primarily, I still feel like, yes, you can be versatile. You can do a lot of things. That's okay. I still feel like he's going to be in the middle of the defense somewhere in the NFL.
Well, I'm going to say this, man. To bring him in as a pass rusher off the get-go, I think it's a bad idea because, like, look at Josh Allen, for example. Josh Allen was rushing the pass out of a 3-4 outside linebacker spot pretty much his entire career, right? So he was ready to go from that position. Isaiah Simmons, if he's playing safety sometimes, if he's playing linebacker sometimes, I don't care how explosive, how talented he is. If he doesn't have a lot of experience rushing the passer, it's probably not going to correlate well to his rookie year. And if you're trying to replace Yannick Ngakoue, it's not going to go well your first year.
I would just like to say that we can't keep replacing these players either. At some point, we got to hold on to some great players and add to them, because if we're just replacing them, we're spinning our wheels as Jags, right?
There it is, John Bachman.
I know we have to. Oh, don't look at me like that.
Brent with the eye roll.
I know we might have to, but that's sad as a Jags fan. Let's keep Jan and let's add to Jan.
Was that a $20 bill I saw you hand over to John?
That's
the
right.
face that runs the place, man.
Isn't the age-old question, right? Most people say the more you can do, right? In our business, John, the more you can do, right? People up makes you. I feel like in the NFL sometimes, and like if you listen to Simmons talk this week, he says, hey, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it probably was a bad thing that I didn't necessarily have a position, but now it's an okay thing, which is okay, but I still don't think it's a good thing. You know, like I feel like in the NFL, the one thing you do well might be better than the more you can do. Does it make sense?
Exactly. Listen, the more you can do stems from a guy that's trying to make a roster, right? Like if you can play punt return, if you can go on the kickoff team, the punt team, like then you have a shot in the NFL because you can do a lot of things. If you can be like a good backup linebacker, then maybe you got a shot. But I'm talking about a bona fide starter, Brent. It's not the more you can do. Like, I don't need Khalil Mack to play middle linebacker one play, outside linebacker the next play. I just need Khalil Mack to be Khalil Mack. I just need Von Miller to be a rush outside linebacker. That's all I need Von Miller to do. Von Miller could play safety. He could play middle linebacker. He could maybe play corner, dude. Like, the guy's that big of a freak. But I don't need that from Von Miller, man. I just need Von Miller to do what he does. So from that perspective, you're absolutely right, Brent. It's not the more you can do. I just need you to do the one thing extremely well.
Yeah, well, it begs the question, too, though. That's a fascinating discussion in any walk of life, really. So I wonder that, too, sometimes. Like, hey, everybody tells you the more you can do, but what if you just did one thing great? Now you're rolling the dice, right? Like, that one thing's going to pay off. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that focus on that one thing might be a better deal. I mean, heck, that's how we got into specialization in sports, quite frankly. But the Jags want this hybrid. We don't know if they do, but we kind of assume that they're going to create this hybrid type of defense, 4-3-3-4, something that you said a while ago. They said they probably wanted to implement. I think I've heard some rumblings that Yannick wasn't in camp last year, all this stuff. Well, Josh Allen is kind of a more you can do guy. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, he's very good at rushing the passer, but you can send him out with a receiver, or you can do those things. So there is an example that you can excel even being the more you can do.
Well, and he also played Calais Campbell's big end spot this year, too, when Calais was out. He was playing the big end spot, literally assigned you as a 5 technique on a tackle, which is something that Josh Allen had never played before. Now, did he do great at it? Probably did okay. Yeah. You know, it takes time to learn. But, yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is a versatile guy from that standpoint. But once again, if I have it my way, Brent, I want Josh Allen rushing the passer. And that's it, man.
Sounds to me like you don't want Isaiah Simmons.
Dude, I don't mind Isaiah Simmons at all, but I just want Isaiah Simmons to either play linebacker, I just want the Jaguars to have an idea of what to do with Isaiah Simmons. Yeah. I don't want Isaiah Simmons to come to training camp and it's like, all right, let's see what this guy's got. Whoa, this guy's fast. Put him at safety. I don't know. Like, I don't want those conversations, Brent. I want day one, if the Jaguars draft Isaiah Simmons, it's going to be he's playing this position, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think multiple tasked players might work if that's what your entire team was made up of, and you could kind of use that as a strategy to throw off the other guys. You don't know who's going to be doing what any given day, but if you only have a handful or even just a couple of guys who could do that, to your point, I'm not sure how successful that'll be. And it sort of brings to mind like the Houston Rockets. Like, how's that going to really work in the playoffs? You know, these guys, bunch of shorter guys that can play from the outside, but do they have anybody inside, and how well will that work?
Yeah, how will
not the same exact thing,
well, no, I get it,
the same idea. You could make a case that the Jags could go down that road and just try it, but then you need a lot more than just 2 guys.
It's funny, coaches I think love to brag about, not brag, but they love to say, hey, this guy can do this and this and this. Think about Will Richardson, right? He was playing right tackle. He's playing right guard. Heck, he might even slide into center in the preseason. He ended up at right guard.
Yeah.
All right, because he wouldn't do it. Well, one, he wasn't needed at those spots, but he ended up at right guard. Think about Ronnie Harrison and Jared Wilson. Hey, they can be interchangeable. I can count on one hand how many times Jared Wilson, I feel like, at least played strong safety.
There was hype around that, too, though. Remember we talked about that with Jared Wilson, actually. He said he was excited to play strong safety this year. Didn't really see a lot of that. To get to Will Richardson's point, listen, Will Richardson was supposed to be a backup lineman, right? So from that perspective, versatility is key, Brett, because when a guy goes down, you may need a guard to play tackle spot, or you may need a guard to play center spot.
Much like Tyler Shatley.
Exactly.
So that's a bad thing if you got guys going down. That's to your point. You don't want guys having to do that.
Exactly. But versatility is absolutely key in terms of depth because you have to play more than one spot.
Sure.
But when we're talking about possibly the number 9 pick, oh, no. I don't need versatility. I need an elite talent at a single position.
I need his versatility to play the position, make the Pro Bowl, lead us to the playoffs. That's his versatility.
There you go.
But, in my job, I need versatility in case John needs me to fill in. Boris needs me to fill in, do weather. Did weather back in the day.
I almost had to do weather the other night. Did you guys watch that? Poor Burish is.
Steph told me about it.
Yeah, he was not making it through
I felt so
the weather. And I was like, I'm sitting here going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And the last thing I wanted, in my mind, I'm running down all the options. I could give him some water and hope that works, which I did. That was the first thing I did. I literally was like the marathoner guy handing him water like every other second. And I was just like, please work, because the other option was to step in and do the weather, which, Lord help us all if I'm having to do that. A little known fact, back when I was just getting this business, that was one thing I was toying with, was whether I wanted to be a meteorologist, because I was a scientist backgrounded guy.
Yeah,
and
I could tell.
I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. That'd be great. Man, I did the wall one time, and I was like, this is not for me.
I seriously did weather in Alexandria, Louisiana, my first job.
Did you really?
I did the
How
news.
hard was that, man?
I did the weather and the sports.
So that part of it's not so hard. It's the actual, forecasting, the science behind it.
By the way, we're in Alexandria, Louisiana. It was market 173, okay?
Yeah,
it's like in the middle of nowhere.
You could be really good and not be that good.
we were not forecasting.
Yeah.
We got this thing, and we ripped it down from the Weather Channel.
Yeah.
And you took that, but you had to build graphics and everything, man.
Oh, sure.
Like, I had to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was awesome, though, because I'm like you. I kind of toyed with the weather idea, but I was terrible at science.
Yeah.
So I am not doing this biology and all this other stuff you got to get through to get a weather degree.
Sure.
But I've loved the weather. I've always been intrigued by the weather.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I would have handled that differently.
Okay.
I would have taken the water away from Burish and just did the weather.
And then just pushed him out of the way and said, move over, old man. I got this.
I got this.
Well,
I like it, man.
I had less confidence in my talents and said, come on, baby, drink some water.
Please,
Get through it.
Yeah.
Get through this.
Yeah, that'd be like Brent getting sick and I'd take over the sports for the
it
day.
would have been painful, pull
Brent.
up the full screen and say, read the full screen, read what people are looking at. They're like, what are you adding to this? Absolutely nothing.
We're just, then you take over the slogan, at least for that moment, of ESPN690. We're just trying to make it.
Just trying to make it.
Just trying to make it.
And it could be the Jaguar slogan of 2020 as well.
It's the heavy favorite to be the Jag slogan in 2020.
Vegas has him favored right now.
And the only reason it's a heavy favorite is the other ones all have curse words in them.
Yeah.
You can't use that one.
People are upset.
That could be their slogan. The Jaguars, people are upset.
That's a good one, too.
We're on to something here, man. We got to put this together. What do you have? Anybody upset everybody's upset with the Dow Jones.
The Dow Jones, another 1,000-point drop today. They just closed at 4 o'clock. And
has it always closed at 4?
Yeah.
Has it?
Yeah, for as long as I can remember.
It did? Okay, I just figured 9 to 5. I don't know. I never noticed that.
It closed at 4, and so that makes 2 days this week with 1,000-point losses
the
or
other one was
more.
900.
And the other one was 850 or 900. And then another one was like 60. It has been. I read somewhere, and I don't have this. I can't cite the source, but I believe it's the worst week. Let me say this: one of the worst weeks safely since 2008.
Yeah,
I would the market.
I saw a thing today. It said it's 6 months. What was built up in 6 months
We're
and
back
hit
down
the
to
record
25,000. We were at 29,000.
Was gone in 2 days. So not even counting today. It was gone in 2 days.
It was bad. It was bad.
It's all coronavirus related.
Well, directly and indirectly, right? So you've got the coronavirus impacting a lot of business in China mainly, in other areas, but primarily China. So you've got some direct impact. Then you have the indirect impact, which investors hate: uncertainty.
Sure.
Uncertainty is bad, whether even just any kind of uncertainty. So that's where we are with this. Is the investors are scared based on what could or their worst possible fears, even though we hope that's not going to be the case. So yes, it's hard fact. China is not producing as much stuff right now, and also the fear of what could happen. Those are the two main factors.
No such thing as balling anymore around here. It's just falling.
It's just falling.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Dow Jones.
So besides that, of course, you're going to be doing some stuff with us for Corky Rogers.
Yeah, I'm going to pop down and do at top of the 5 on TV on CBS 47 and Fox 30. We'll have team coverage on Corky Rogers. We're just catching up with some former players, Riley Skinner included.
Here's something.
And Matt Toblin, the current coach.
And Chipper Jones weighed in, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Here's something we talked about in the newsroom today. Somebody brought it up primarily just for discussion, but, of course, Mayor Jake Godbold passed not that long ago. And someone made the argument, I think mostly for argument's sake only, but that Corky had as big or bigger impact on this area than the mayor did. Now, I don't think I agree with that, but his point was, I think, that direct impact to people. You think about all the people he's influenced over his career.
It's a great call. And by the way, influenced the football in the state of Florida and probably in some respects across the country. So I don't think anybody would allow themselves to admit that fully.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a football coach, not a mayor.
Right.
But the fact that you bring it up, and I don't know what's right or wrong, I'm just saying you bring it up and you sit there and think about it for a second, will show you the scope of his impact. It's not a contest here who had the more impact. It's more about
they both had tremendous impact.
Just puts it in perspective how much impact really did.
Something to think about.
And by the way, I say this a lot, and I listen. I'm a public school guy. I mean, I grew up back home where we're from. Like, it's not now. It's more kind of meshed together. I don't think there is this public school versus private school thing. At least I don't feel that down here. Maybe that's just because I don't go to school. But back home, it was that. Like there was this angst. It was like we're public school kids and they're private school kids, and it's a different playing field, but we're all still playing. There was that, and you sense that a bit sometimes around here.
Our biggest rival was a private school for sure.
And so I'm not knocking it. So I say this. And this is reality, that the impact Corky Rogers made on so many of those football players, and again, that community and bowl school, if you look at our city and the makeup of our city and how many people went to the bowl school that are, I'll put in quotes, the movers and shakers of the city, I think it shows you the impact felt even by the guy roaming the sidelines on the football field. And I think so many of those people, whether they're still in sports or they're in city council or they're in politics elsewhere or high-ranking
former Major
positions,
League Baseball players,
whatever it might be, I think we'll all say they were impacted in some respect by that. So I think that's
as a lot of coaches do, by the way.
That's pretty cool.
Of good coaches have great impact.
I guess what I'm doing is saying you're right about the city. If you think about all the people that went to bowls, maybe even played for Corky Rogers, and what they're doing in all different levels of our city.
Right.
From a sports standpoint, political standpoint, educational standpoint, all
and
those
Lee
things.
too, right? What was? Did he come from Lee or did he go?
Yeah, we went to Lee. He's a West Side guy, and then he coached at Lee for 17 years. And we had Gene Fournette on earlier, and I think that's the undertold part of
I would
Corky's
agree.
story, and I almost feel bad for that to some degree because he helped build the backyard, man, at Lee High School, and so Edgar Bennett, Leroy Butler. Those great runs.
Right.
I mean, Gene just brought up, I think they won 10 district championships in a row at Lee. And so, yes, Lee is every part of the story, even though most people now associate Corky Rogers with bowls because of the 10 state championships.
Yeah.
He was at bowls for 28 years and 17 years for Lee. But I don't think you can forget about the Lee side of the story when it comes to Corky Rogers.
So we'll hear more about that, of course. And one more thing before I get to the most important one. And local Starbucks hiring veterans and their spouses.
Huh, nice.
They're focused on it.
Toast
there
to
you
that.
go. I know.
Nicely done,
yes,
Brett.
well placed. Did you get that on the camera there? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Would you want to work with your spouse, though?
What's that?
Well, would you want to work with your spouse, though?
Well, I'm not saying that they necessarily hire them both. I'm saying they're hiring either veterans or
listening right now.
or spouses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So perhaps there are some couples working, but mostly it's
I got
one or the other.
Okay,
Correct.
I got you.
I tell you what, I would not want to work with my spouse in this business.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially
it's
and
so hard.
A lot do, but
it
no
is.
way.
First of all, there's an ego involved, but also just the family life, right? I mean, if you have kids, these hours are crazy. Well,
this is one of those professions, though, where you get out in front of a newsroom sometimes and you swear at people and yell and all that stuff, and it could be your wife.
Well,
and then you go have a drink with them later at night.
But especially when Brent, when I'm first starting out, hey, one piece of advice for you: trust nobody. I'm like, okay, well, yeah. So that'd be hard to, have a.
Ask John if he subscribes to that piece of advice.
we can talk offline, Austin. Been doing this a long time.
I don't know, man. I feel like John's a nice guy. I'll take him to the airport.
That was such an inside joke.
Okay, sorry. It's all good.
Oh, I think he knows. Everybody listening knows, I promise.
That might know what that means.
Okay. Shoot. Okay. Everybody done laughing because now we need everybody to pay attention. I've tweeted out this information at Bachman A. and Jax. I hope you will as well. Brent, retweet us. But right now we have 3 kids, young kids, 3, 5, and 6, missing from St. Mary's, Georgia. Their father, Kings Bay sailor, they believe these kids are in extreme danger. And
now, when you say the dad, their dad is a sailor?
They are with him, and
dad.
he is a Kings Bay sailor. NCIS is leading the investigation to try to find him and the kids. It's possible their mother is with them as well. They were last seen in a black 2019 Toyota Tundra pickup truck. So
in Georgia?
In Georgia and St. Mary's. They have a Georgia license plate that here, let me read it real quick, but I also have tweeted this so that I'm a visual learner, so if you hear this on the radio and you're driving right now, it's not going to help you much, but let me see if I can get it
By the way,
really
we've
quick.
had a lot of missing children as of late.
Oh, Yeah, and this does not sound
Now, fortunately,
good.
you brought our attention to one young person about a week ago, and by 5:05 they had found.
Yes.
I think it was a young boy, but all right, give us
So
the plate.
here's the Georgia license plate they're looking for: RTQ7135. RTQ7135. Bachman and Jax, if you're a visual learner and you want to see it, I have tweeted that information out. I know Brent will probably retweet it. Austin, you can retweet it. ESPN690 will retweet it. We got to try to help find these three kids feared to be in extreme danger with their father, and it's a bad situation. So we're following that at 5. We've got a bunch of stuff going on. I think Christy Turner was up in Georgia doing another story, so she jumped on that. Russell Colburn drove up there as soon as we heard it. And he actually, I think, spoke. Let me see. He's got something really crazy. I think, let's see. He talked with, I can't find it, of course. Here we go. Talked with a friend who claims to have talked with the mom on the phone. Recently. So, and actually, Christy's getting that sound right now, that interview. So,
all right. Well,
lots of stuff going
to
on
push
with
that license plate out, and hopefully there's a happy ending.
Yeah,
there.
by 5 o'clock we might have some more information. So,
all right, John Bachman, Tanika Hughes, Mike Burish. Hopefully with some water at his side.
Yes, his voice is good. Last night he made it without having to have a water break.
All right.
My water supply did not need to be tapped for that.
All right, then Action Sports Jax team will have team coverage of the passing of Corky Rogers as well, coming up CBS 47 and Fox 30, 5 p.m. until 7 p.m., and then later tonight, 10 p.m. until 11:30. Also have more coverage from the Combine as well on the sports side of things. That's John Bachman.
All right, guys.
We're going to talk more about Corky Rogers with another coach in the area that knows him really well, fellow Hall of Famer. It's on the way. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert Forecast on ESPN 690.
Clear and cold tonight, dropping into the 30s and a light frost and freeze near and west of Interstate 95. And temperatures on Friday will top out in the low to mid 60s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where for a limited time,
0% financing store-wide.
Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com. You can afford luxury. You can afford a new Infiniti from Atlantic Infiniti. Now's the time to trade in and trade up. Why wait when you can trade in the vehicle you're driving now and move up to the luxury and performance of an Infiniti? Right now, Atlantic Infiniti is offering higher trade-in values than ever before. Get more for your trade now and get more from life with the luxury and performance of a brand new Infiniti at the one and only Atlantic Infiniti. Call now to get more than ever for your trade-in. 642-0200 or AtlanticInfinity.com.
Be bold, Jacksonville, whether you need to be cold or hot. Bold City Heating and Air will help, like they did with my home. Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Bold City Heating and Air has a good reputation. Clean, professional, and honest AC service. Right now, there's a $49 winter maintenance special. Keep your AC running efficiently and lower electric bills. Your AC is your biggest monthly utility expense, so make sure it runs effectively. Be bold and call Bold City Heating and Air, 904-379-1648, or visit boldcityac.com.
It's happening, people. Our friends at Arlington Toyota are getting a brand new state-of-the-art showroom. And that means the old stuff is coming down, and so are Arlington's prices. I'm talking up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020 models. How about a 2019 Toyota 4Runner? It's not $31,755. Now it's only $26,991. That's $26,991 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota 4Runner at Arlington. How about a 2019 Toyota Camry? It's not $19,745. No, now it's just $16,291. Just $16,291 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Camry at Arlington. Plus, you get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, which includes a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Construction is underway, and prices are coming down at Arlington Toyota. So get in today and pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/construction sale for offer details.
Love is in the air at Beard's Diamonds.
And you'll love this incredible offer. 0% financing store-wide.
Yes, get 0 interest financing for 5 years on anything and everything.
But hurry, this incredible free financing won't last long.
How about a $6,000 designer setting?
You pay just $100 a month. You just spread your payments out over 60 months.
And get her that piece of jewelry she's been dreaming of. How about a GIA certified diamond with a Decoria Veragio setting for $12,000?
You pay just $200 a month.
Buying fine jewelry has never been better.
People drive from all over to Beard's Diamonds for the best selection, best prices, and now 0% financing for 5 years.
Pick out that one-of-a-kind piece, then divide your total by 60, and that's what you pay a month.
Beard's Diamonds.
Located at the St. John's Town Center.
Or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Where exceptional is affordable.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where the price you see online is the price you pay when you arrive. No gimmicks or tricks like add-on fluff stickers some other dealerships use to add thousands to the price. Not here. Fast, fair, and transparent is what you always can expect at Gordon. And right now, during our auto show discount event, take up to $11,000 off new Silverados, up to $5,000 off new Equinox. Find us at the money-saving end of Landing Boulevard and online at gordonchevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
There's a new sports medicine practice in Jacksonville.
Hi, my name is Stan Longenecker.
Hi, I'm Dr. Grimsley.
I'm Dr. Michael Adams.
Ortho Edge.
We believe that the patient pays money for a doctor and should be seen by a doctor.
They're getting the most technologically available medicine there is.
Ortho Edge.
You're going to get a much better experience with your physician. We all see our patients every time.
Find out more about us at orthoedge.com.
We're in the DePaul building attached to St. Vincent's Medical Center, Riverside.
It's a leap year, so leap into savings now at your neighborhood Ace. Wild Delight Birdseed, your choice of 3 blends, just $9.99 each. In colder weather, high-energy suet is an especially good bird food. Now 69 cents per packet at Ace. Fertilome Weed and Feed for St. Augustine grass, just $19.99 per bag. For fertilizers, garden soil, potting mix, mulch, and more, shop your nearby Ace Hardware. Find great deals and the location nearest you at acehardware.com. Sale ends March 2nd.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Luxury begins at the door of Atlantic Infinity with your concierge, no-pressure customer experience.
Only one Atlantic Infinity.
Experience the wave of luxury in person at 10980 Atlantic Boulevard or at atlanticinfinity.com.
It happens only once every 4 years, and it's happening this Saturday. Leap Day 2020, this Saturday, the 29th of February. And what better way to celebrate this rare occasion than with something even more rare at Diamonds Direct. Come and see a special collection of precious diamonds and colored gemstones, and let us help you pick out something they will enjoy every day, but especially on every leap day in the future as a reminder of your love. Put this extra day of 2020 to good use and do something truly memorable with a diamond bracelet, a pair of diamond earrings, a sapphire and diamond tennis bracelet, or an exquisite certified diamond. Ask about extra savings and extra financing options on this one extra day of the year. And like with any other day of the year, you can count on Diamonds Direct for the guaranteed lowest price and a free lifetime warranty, one that will cover you for every leap year way into the future. Diamonds Direct. Take the leap and make this Saturday count. Get directions and store hours now at diamondsdirect.com.
3, 2, 1. The countdown to the 50th Daytona Supercross is on. The high-flying, heart-pounding action happens Saturday, March 7th at the World Center of Racing. Get closer to the action than anywhere else on the Monster Energy AMA Supercross circuit as the top racers go bar to bar at Daytona. Don't let another second pass you by. Get tickets and trackside access by calling 1-800-PIT-SHOP or visiting DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Be bold, whether you want to be cold or hot. Bold City Heating and Air will help. Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. I needed a new air conditioning system last summer and called the good folks at Bold City Heating and Air. It was worth the call. A competitive price, good communication, fantastic service. A new system is a big investment for your family. You want a good experience. My family had that at Bold City Heating and Air. You can too. They will help you design the perfect system for your home while staying within your budget. Be bold and give Bold City Heating and Air a call or visit boldcityac.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Austin Lane from Action Sports Jax. Thanks for making ESPN690 the fastest-growing sports station in Jacksonville. It was a lot of fun playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, and I'm having just the same amount of fun on the radio every single day with ESPN690. So I'm reaching out to you to be part of our team and grow your business with ESPN690. Give us a holler at 245-8732. That's 245-8732. We look forward to hearing from you and hope you join the team.
Join ESPN 690 along with 20,000 other runners and walkers at the Gate River Run on March 7th. Whether you want to run or just want to join the huge party at the finish line, go to runjax.com. That's runjax.com to register for the 15K or the Synovus 5K for charity.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hey, welcome back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Quick change, costume change. I'm going to have to jump out of here in a little bit to do some TV on the Corky Rogers front. We're going to talk to Kevin Sullivan in just a couple of minutes as well about that. Some thoughts on social media that we're getting, though, and interesting. Let's see. Rob Corbin says, forget the combine. I won't say what he said. Talk to the Jags season ticket holders about their so-called discounts. So apparently, I think it came out today, and I was flying this morning. I didn't see all of this. I've just seen some of it on social media at, the whole ticket discount that the Jags fans were going to get. I don't think the fans are liking it. Mm-hmm. I think some people have said they're saving $18. I think what happened, or I don't know what happened. I just said, remember 50% off like preseason tickets?
Correct.
Was the number. But overall, there was going to be like a 10% savings, I think was the number.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was kind of what the messaging was. And I think it was almost like the fine print, because the way I took it at first was like, wow, 50% off preseason and then 10% off the regular season.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it was. And so this kind of reaction, it's not like too widespread, but that doesn't surprise me. I think there might have been some misinterpretation of it or kind of fine line stuff. But is my guess.
With the 50% off, too, I think people assumed it would be 50% off last year's cost, and it's actually 50% off this year's cost. So, I'm not sure how, the percentages work, but obviously I think prices have gone up a little bit. So I think people are a little upset with that as well.
Yeah. And Barry says the same thing. Let's talk about the joke season ticket prices the Jags put out today. Barry says, not only can we not provide viability or take on the burden of all the home games, we also think we can't do simple math. So obviously some more angst on that. I got to be honest with you. I haven't seen – I get season tickets, so I have not seen any of that today. So I don't know the exact math on it, other than I know some people were not happy with it and what they thought it was going to be. Real MBB says, can't wait for the Jags to draft top 10 player who is Jalen's agent. When we were talking about Simmons, I guess he's got Jalen's agent.
Oh, there you go.
Well, listen, they're not going to not draft people because of they're going to deal with more players down the road that have Jalen's agent.
Yeah.
Same goes for Jan's agent. It just happens. That's the way. You can't not pick people because of that. I think that's dangerous. Randy Dean says Myles will remain in the middle, in my opinion. Quincy Weekside, we need O-line, D-line at number 9. And I think a lot of people would agree, although I don't agree with the O-line as that's where they're headed. Mm-hmm. If you're asking me what I think the Jags will do, I doubt it's offensive line. Although the next guy on the line probably says, yeah, go after the big fellas. Go after the offensive line. We need more offensive line. That's
Games
probably
won and lost in the trenches,
Probably
Brent.
what Kevin Sullivan would say as the old coach. What's up, man? How you doing?
Buddy, doing okay, man. Doing okay. Yeah, I don't mind. Let's get a big body inside. If we can get Derek Brown there at number 9 and he's there, we got to take him.
Yeah, I think
That's
a lot of people agree with that. A lot of people agree with that. I think the problem is, I think like Daniel Jeremiah, his big board that he does, I think he's like number 2. Listen, Derek Brown, the much as they're talking about him, he's not getting a number 9.
No, I know. I'm with you on that. It'll be interesting to see, sort of like last year, how Josh sort of slid to us a little bit. You had to take him. You had no choice at that point. That was a great pick. So I'm with you guys on that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I love all this. I do love, the spin on everybody Yeah, well, we're going to look. The Redskins are going to look at a quarterback now, and all the smoke and mirror stuff start coming around now.
Hey, I know you're not on social media. I think you gave it up for Lent, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Well,
yes, sir.
that means you're not seeing all the love for Corky Rogers on social media. There's a lot of it. And, by the way, we're talking with Kevin Sullivan, former Jackson coach, Atlantic Coast coach, Hall of Famer in the state of Florida, and does our Friday night's games of the week, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN690 last season as we debuted that, and that was a lot of fun. But also, obviously, in the coaching circles, you know Corky Rogers really well. We've been talking about him a lot of the show. I think it's been well worth spending the time on the legacy left behind by Corky Rogers. Tell us from the coaching side of things, how well respected, how much you maybe learned from him. What's the coaching circle saying about Corky Rogers today?
Well, I mean, I think everybody, anybody way back when I first came, even before I came, I really hadn't known him for anything. One of my old coaches said, reach out and find out when I was sort of researching the Jackson job back in '98. I called Dan Dish and I called Corky. Corky was up front and everything like that. And, that could have been one of the reasons I ended up coming with a respected guy like that. But we sort of always were friends. And I don't know why he sort of took me in under his wing. But, call him, talk to him, go by practice. It was just crazy the way he invited me into the Bulls family, even though I wasn't one of the Bulls guys. Jaguar tailgates, I'd get a text from one of his guys, hey, we're going to be here, or Florida, Georgia, or even after their games or a birthday party, like his 72nd birthday party, they text me and I go out over there and hang out with those. So they always sort of included me in the family, and it was always quite an honor to be included in his circle of friends.
Talking with Kevin Sullivan, obviously in the coaching circles for a long time here in Jacksonville in the high school ranks, and the passing of Corky Rogers last night, and everybody talking about Corky Rogers here today, including us on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN690. Here's what's wild to me, Coach, that for 45 years, he did it his way. It worked. It didn't matter that kids changed. Didn't matter that generations changed. And even if you look at his style of play, hardly changed, I would say, yet was still super effective. That's unusual in sports. That's unusual in your game, especially because it seems to evolve all the time, maybe even every decade.
Yeah, and I think they got a little bit more gun and a little bit more, but I think the principles of what he believed in, I think it was all about being fundamentally sound and being tough. And you guys know, Brett, you've been here 10 years, and some of the most talented teams that he had, that 04 team, heck, they came here in the round of 8 and beat us by 40. And I don't think if we played 10 times, they'd beat us by 40 10 times. Huh. You know what I mean? And he just got. To me, what the respect part that I think the coach is, sure, he had those great players every now and then, but he just had regular guys, man, and he brought the best out of his kids, and not just his kids, but I think our coaching community, because there were a bunch of guys that would go to practice when they were in the playoffs, or they would go to he'd invite everybody in, and there's a lot of different guys over the years that have been to his practice. And he just treated you like you were supposed to be there. You know what I mean? It was really a unique situation, and it didn't matter if and you know how it is when you win, everybody sort of hates you, don't hate you. The dude was such a competitor on the field, but he was so different off the field as far as respectful and humble and everything. And it's just amazing. And I talked to somebody this morning, and I was like, can you even fathom the impact that man has had in this community? I'm not talking about just football, just people in general, waitresses at the Bonos. Matter of fact, that's why I started eating at Bonos, because Corky Rogers would go to Bonos every day.
Yeah, you said it worked for him. Maybe it will work for me.
And that's exactly right. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to do that. If Corky goes, I'd start to go to Bonos. And,
hey, did you ask him what he ate there, and did he eat the same thing?
No, he ate the same thing every day, every week, every game day, or every week that they went. But I always found that was sort of interesting. And then they had the World Global Games here, and we had the All-Star game, and And he called me and he said, "Hey, I want you coaching this All-Star game with me." And I'm like, "Oh, great." So I get there and it's the bowl staff and me, and I go, "What am I, the token public school guy? Is that why I'm here?" You know? And he's like, "Yeah, you're good. We'll talk about it after practice and stuff." But it was it's just a tremendous career. But I think, you know, the wins and the state championships, and I think that's what pretty much everybody is talked about. But the kids that have played for him or the guys that have coached against him, I mean, I think it's more than match your with the best, you know. That's what I think it was.
Hey there, Coach Austin Landman. It's great to hear from you. You know, when you guys go, like, to, you know, because you're a former coach yourself, so when you go to these high school conventions, you know, and you're talking to all these coaches, generally how it works is, you know, you talk to them and maybe you pick up something where you add your own coaching style, right? And I think with the success that, you know, Corky Rogers had, I mean, obviously there's probably a lot of things to take away to add to your own style. But I guess my question to you, Coach, is what is the biggest thing that Corky Rogers taught you in terms of coaching that you kind of added to your style a little bit and worked with your players?
Well, probably the biggest takeaway, again, in that All-Star game in 2004 was they used to tie their certain plays to the snap count.
Okay.
And so when we go to the All-Star game, you know, whatever they're calling their formation and then their buck sweep, it was on one, or their three-step game was on color or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, my God, that is like the greatest thing in the world. And I said to Corky, where did you get that? I go, Coach, I've been doing that like 20 years. And I'm like, I go, how many offsides penalties do you average a year? He goes, maybe 2. Wow. And I'm like, oh, no, we're putting that crap in as soon as we get back to school. I said, I'm putting that stuff in. And so we started doing that, tying certain runs to snap counts and certain pass plays to snap counts. So our kids knew if it was an inside zone run, it was on 2. If it was an outside zone run, it was on 1. You know, and to me, it really helped us coaching-wise. It really helped us coaching-wise. And, you know, and that's one little small thing that I took from him is just the things that he believed in and what he believed in is pretty much what he believed in. And he tinkered and changed a little bit through the years, but overall, I mean, I think it was the same style, same brand, same everything that he was trying to do as it went on. So
really cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing the stories, Coach. It sounds like the 5 o'clock train came on Main Street, by the way.
Yeah, the 5 o'clock train. We got baseball and softball doubleheader getting ready to kick off here tonight. So
man, you just can't stop working.
Oh, no, I tell you what, though, spring break's coming. I'm going to be up in some mountain. I'll be up in the mountains, stuck up somewhere. No phone, no internet, no nothing. When spring break comes, that's my getaway and everything.
All right, enjoy it. Thanks for sharing some memories of Corky Rogers. We appreciate taking the time. Kevin Sullivan.
All right, guys. Awesome. Take care. Good luck on your fight, big timer.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right. See you.
See. Thanks to Kevin Sullivan. You know, it's interesting. We've talked a lot about how much he's impacted players, right, in young men. Well, how much did he impact the coaching circle?
Of course.
Here, right? Kevin Sullivan just brought you a great example.
Yeah.
I mentioned Duran Wiley. I mean, he gives a ton of credit to what Reigns has become again, just from a competitive standpoint, going up against Corky Rogers and how they made them better. And Duran Wiley says it, and hopefully we'll get him on either today or tomorrow to talk about it.
And then listen, like I said, I didn't know Corky Rogers, man, but it's fun hearing coaches talk about that wing T offense, right? Because that's actually something I ran a little bit in high school myself. We used to run like the crossbuck, we called it, the crossbuck sweep, and a lot of that stems from the wing T. So it's just cool hearing these old school terms get brought up again, man. It's awesome.
More NFL talk, more Corky Rogers talk. One final hour to go. I'm going to step out for some TV, so Austin will take it for a little bit, and I'll be back up as well. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 rolls on here on a Thursday. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Put on the poll, Guillermo, Le Batard Show. Over, under 1.4 billion chicken wings eaten on Super Bowl Sunday. Would you go over or under there?
Go over.
The reason I think the number is over is because that was just me yesterday. Just snorting chicken wings.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Let's say you have ED, male impotence. Or maybe you suffer from PE and can't satisfy your partner. If you have either or both of these embarrassing conditions, Prime Men's Medical Center has the solution. Meet Dr. Rabinski, a specialist in men's health.
If you're experiencing ED or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center has custom blended medications designed just for you. There's no pain and no surgery. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or prostate issues, not a problem. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, Prime Men's Medical Center has patients lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. You'll see results on your first visit guaranteed, or your visit is free. And best of all, it's affordable.
For a private consultation with our highly skilled physicians, call 904-206-8105. We guarantee that you'll see results on your first visit, or there's no charge for your consult. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now at 904-206-8105. That's 904-206-8105.
It's happening, people. Our friends at Arlington Toyota are getting a brand new state-of-the-art showroom. And that means the old stuff is coming down, and so are Arlington's prices. I'm talking up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020 models. How about a 2020 Toyota Corolla? It's not $18,095. Now it's only $14,991. That's $14,991 for a pre-owned 2020 Toyota Corolla at Arlington. And if you've got to have a 2019 Toyota RAV4, it's not $24,195. No. Now it's $21,581. Just $21,581 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota RAV4 at Arlington. Plus, you get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, which includes a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Construction is underway and prices are coming down at Arlington Toyota. So get in today and pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/construction sale for offer details.
This is the Frells family. They live on a piece of land they call greener pasture, and they work on it behind the wheel of a John Deere 1 Series tractor. With its durable construction and features that hook up to dozens of attachments with ease, no job is too tough. The Frells family runs with us because this is more than just land. It's home. Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a 1 Series tractor for just $99 per month at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best 4G LTE networks, same as the big carriers, but just for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, saving you up to half the cost of the big carriers. No contract. Full court coverage, half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Jeff Darlington reports quarterback Tom Brady believes he'll be playing somewhere else in 2020.
There are people very close to Tom Brady who are being told by Tom Brady, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm going somewhere else. Like, that's the way that we're operating here.
Jeff Darlington on Get Up. Brady's been with the Patriots for 20 years. The NFL player vote on a proposed new collective bargaining agreement is expected in the coming weeks. It could happen as early as next week. Red Sox left-hander Chris Sale will start the new season on the injured list. He's still recovering from pneumonia. Sale will stay in Florida for extended spring training. He's about 2 weeks behind. Major League Baseball will promote umpires Kerwin Danley and Alfonso Marquez to be crew chiefs. They become MLB's first African-American and first Latino crew chiefs. A college basketball tripleheader tonight on ESPN2 starting at 7 Eastern. Wisconsin at Michigan. That's followed by Ohio State at Nebraska and Oregon State at Oregon.
This isn't an announcement. It's a declaration of deliciousness. Right now, garlic butter is taking over at Church's, starring Church's $5 shrimp and tenders platter. 4 garlic butter shrimp, 2 tenders, fries, slaw, and a biscuit. Church's, bringing that down-home flavor.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
You know, they'll be able to help me, obviously, in the seat I'm in. They understand what's going on. I think those coaches that are like Jay or Ben, you know, they've dealt with a lot of players, a lot of different people. So, you know, dealt with a lot of coaches, managed a lot of people. So I think, you know, those things are always going to help you if you handle things, you know, the right way, which both of them did. And then, you know, for me, it was just a matter of, hey, listen, you know, what do these guys want to do? They want to win for Jacksonville. They want to win for us right here. That's their whole focus and their whole goal.
Head coach Doug Marrone talking about newly acquired coaches in Ben McAdoo and Jay Gruden. ESPN 690 Action Sports, Jax Austin Lane taking over for a little bit as Brent Martineau goes downstairs to cut some video for the news side of things. Obviously doing some stuff for Corky Rogers today as he passed away at 76, legendary football coach. You know, and speaking of coaches and getting back to Doug Marrone's comments a little bit here about Ben McAdoo, listen, from the perspective of the intrigue and the excitement coming into this season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'll be honest, I'm a little intrigued by what Jay Gruden's going to offer, obviously, and what Ben McAdoo can offer as well. Obviously, Ben McAdoo from Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers speaks very highly of him, said that Ben McAdoo helped him put over, you know, where he was as a player and kind of took him to a new echelon. So I like the endorsement of Aaron Rodgers, and I like the fact that Ben McAdoo, the one con you can say with McAdoo is the fact that he's a Tom Coughlin guy. And as a head coach of the New York Giants, he didn't really gel a lot with that new school player. So obviously being a quarterback's coach, you're not going to have a lot of influence of how practices are ran and things like that. So I think just from a solely a quarterback coach, I think Ben McAdoo's okay. I think he's going to be great. One could argue as well, though, keep in mind, the reason he got fired really from New York was the fact that when we're talking about Eli Manning and Geno Smith, he took Geno Smith over Eli Manning. Obviously, we know how that panned out, and then he was relieved of his duties further down the line. So you got to hope, though, being the quarterback's coach, that you make the right decision between Gardner Minshew and Nick Foles. And I get it. It's going to be an open competition, but obviously I think the needle is going to be leaning towards the young guy in Gardner Minshew. And then obviously with Jay Gruden as well, you know, you're bringing a guy who carries a name with the last name of Gruden. You know, it's so known for various offenses and intrigue. So from that perspective as well, I think Doug Marrone hit it right on the head where he has to be excited, he has to be intrigued, and this can either go really great or it can go really bad, because you have to ask yourself, is this too many cooks in the kitchen? You have 3 head coaches now on basically one side of the ball on offense, because, you know, Doug Marrone is a former offensive line coach himself, the head coach now, but more of an offensive-minded guy. So you have 3 head coaches, you know, looking over that offense. It can either go really well or it can absolutely be a dumpster fire, and time will tell. But obviously kind of some of the big stories this week revolving the NFL is the Combine. And the Combine finally kicks off tonight in prime time for the first time ever. I think tonight they're gonna be featuring the tight ends, the quarterbacks, and the wide receivers. And, you know, obviously from the quarterback position, Joe Burrow's not going to compete, which, hey, if you're asking me, that's perfectly fine. When you're the number 1 pick of the draft, you can essentially do whatever you want. If I was Joe Burrow and they asked me to get when they asked me to get an MRI machine, I would probably say absolutely not. I'm Joe Burrow. I'm the number 1 pick. Good luck with that. So if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm not doing anything, man. I'm just saying check the tape and everything. Oh, cool. You want to talk about my hand size? Check the tape. Oh, that's great. You want to talk about my height? Go ahead and check the tape. Oh, that's cool. Do you want a question about my want to be in Cincinnati or not? Yeah, it is what it is. Go ahead and check the tape. So Joe Burrow's obviously not going to be doing a lot of passing drills and things like that. He's more of watching, but something I'll keep an eye on for this Combine going on tonight, because once again, it is prime time. I guess the NFL Network thinks it is must-see TV. We'll see how the ratings come back, but one intriguing thing from the Combine is the fact that they kind of changed up the drills a little bit. And tonight what you're going to see from the wide receivers and tight ends, I'm not sure if you guys remember that toe tap drill, which essentially kind of mimicked where you're in obviously a game. The quarterback throws the ball to the sidelines. The receiver tries to get two toes in bounds to be a reception. That drill is gone. And that drill has actually been replaced now by the end zone fade drill, which I'm a huge fan of. Basically what the end zone fade drill is, you run a go route or a fade route to the end zone. You have to gather your bearings, gather your awareness, and make your catch inbounds, obviously, and score the touchdown. So from that perspective, I like that a lot. Now, once again, and I've been preaching about this the entire time during the combine here, where I get it. These drills, it really it can put a player over what you think about him, right? Like if DK Metcalf comes in and runs a 4.3, obviously that's intriguing. Obviously you like him as a wide receiver. If DK Metcalf comes in and runs a worse shuttle than Tom Brady, well, then that hurts your draft stock. I don't care who you are. Now, DK Metcalf showed that this season the shuttle time didn't really matter. Sure, Tom Brady might have more swag than me in the shuttle run, but guess what, man? I was on pace for a strong rookie campaign, and I finished strong, right? And now I'm one of the premier guys in Seattle, and going forward might be one of the premier pass catchers in the entire NFL. So you have to take all these drills in stride. But in terms of the position drills, obviously those are something you have to keep in mind a little more. And I know this from firsthand experience. When I was in the combine back in 2010, I was trying out as a defensive end as an outside linebacker. And obviously playing outside linebacker, it involves you dropping the coverages a lot. So I had to go with the linebacker group. And, I had to drop like a cover 3 route. I had to catch interceptions, things like that. Well, unfortunately, and don't really see it at the combine a lot, but as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, you got to keep in mind, these quarterbacks coming into the combine, the deck is stacked against them because essentially they're throwing to guys who they don't even know. They have zero rapport built in with the receivers. So it's a pressure cooker, not only for receivers who you're catching balls to you never caught balls from before, but it's also a pressure cooker from the quarterback position because you're throwing to receivers where you don't know when they're going to break out of their route. You don't know how fast they are. You don't know how agile they are. You don't know how good their catch radius is. So it's a lot of uncertainty. It's like the ultimate blind date. And unfortunately, my blind date with my quarterback at the Senior Bowl did not go swimmingly. Quite contrary, it was actually a nightmare. And I'm not going to put the dude, his name out there or whatever like that. But my quarterback, man, so basically how the drills went was I had to drop back 5 yards, I had to catch the ball, and then I had to scoop and score. Okay? Easy enough, man. I get an interception, run all the way down in the field, good to go. Well, unfortunately, I don't know if it was the bright lights. Not sure if it was just, being on the big stage. But my quarterback could not hit me in the hands to save his life. And when we're talking about like a 5-6 yard pass. And you know how the combine works, man, where if you don't catch the ball, you have to go back and do the drill again. Well, by the 4th time of me having to go back and do the drill because the ball was nowhere in my vicinity, I got a little mad at my quarterback. And I'm like, dude, just hit the ball in my hands. And so we had a little jaw jacking back and forth. Finally, on the 5th time he did. But that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with at the combine. You talk about the lack of sleep, which I feel like it's going to be different now, obviously, because these guys are training at a later time. So I don't think lack of sleep is going to really be an excuse. But there's so many uncertainties and there's so many things stacked against you where, if these guys don't perform well, we'll just wait for the pro day because that's right on the corner as well. So we talked about wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks going on tonight. Some other drills that I thought were really cool, especially, I'm a defensive line guy, and defensive line is a strong need right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think the defensive line actually competes on Saturday, 4 to 11. So once again, a nice prime time slot. If you got nothing going on, be sure to check, those guys out. You got Kinlaw, you got Brown going. And the cool thing this year with the defensive line at the combine that I love a lot, it's a drill that they're implementing that I think is an absolutely necessity to see just how good a defensive end or a defensive tackle is, and that's the hoop drill. And if you've ever come to a Jaguars practice before in the past decade, I'm sure you've seen the hoop drill. Essentially what it is, and this is why I'm glad they've added it to the drills this year. This is a new drill of the combine, but it tells so much about what you have as a pass rusher number 1, but also as an interior lineman number 2. And the hoop drill is essentially 2 giant hoops where a player has to do a figure 8 around as fast as he can. Sounds simple, right? Well, it kind of is, but it's really not. And here's the reason. When you're running the hoop, your instincts in you as a competitor that have been ingrained in you since you were in Pop Warner are to run the hoop as fast as you can, obviously, right? Because you treat this as a race. You want to run faster than the guy after you and the guy before you. You want to make a name for yourself. I get that. But here's the catch-up, though. If you try to run the hoop as fast as you can, what is that going to do? It's going to shorten your strides up a little bit. And it's funny. This is something, honestly, I'll be honest with you, in my 4 or 5 years in the NFL, I never learned is the fact that it's not about how fast you run the drill. It's about how well you do the drill. So while you're going to see guys running this hoop drill, trying to go as fast as they can with short, choppy steps, that's not what coaches are looking for. Because if you notice during the combine, coaches don't have stopwatches, man. They're just watching your hips for the hoop drill. So if there's any young defensive, ends, defensive tackles listening right now, take my word of advice. When you're running the hoop drill, don't try to make it a race. Try to show off your hips. Try to show off your fluidity. And by doing that, it's the longer strides, right? It's almost kind of feeling uncomfortable, but you bring it at the last second. And that's the key to running the hoop drill. And that's where so many guys, especially at the combine, go wrong because they're out to impress everybody. They're out to try to have the fastest time as possible. And like I said, if you watch the hoop drill, no one's going to have their stopwatch on for that.
I feel like I came in at a perfect time. Show off your hips and show off your fluidity.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, you bet I will.
You better believe in that. Talk about a little hoop drill, Brent.
I needed the little hoop drill and hip movement and fluidity, getting back up the stairs. Now I'm out of breath.
Well, I feel like you're actually maintaining pretty well right now.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
So have you gone through all of them?
We haven't gone through all of them. I just talked about a little bit the new drills being implemented for the wide receivers, tight ends tonight. Obviously, defensive line, a big position of need for the Jaguars. So we talked about the hoop drill a little bit getting added, which I think is a no-brainer because every NFL team runs it in training camp. So I'm happy to see that. But those are the only two we've been over so far.
The most important drill, I think if you talk to coaches across sports, I don't know if this is just football, from a not like actual on-field drill, I would say in the conditioning phases, right? Whether it's bench press, long jump, all that is the shuttle.
Correct.
Because you see that hip movement and everything, right? Do you agree? I mean, do you think that the one that showcases? You remember you had the problem with DK Metcalf last year because of the shuttle.
Yeah. So to me, I'm a little biased. I think it's actually the L drill, which is essentially the shuttle with a little more turning. To me, as a defensive lineman, that shows off your fluidity. That shows off your hips. You want to talk about a guy who had a fantastic L drill that made a lot of money and his draft stock rose a little bit because of it? J.J. Watt. Go back and watch J.J. Watt's L drill. I mean, chef's kiss of how you do that drill. And, usually it's at the end of the day. It's one of the last drills you do, so you're a little fatigued, you're a little tired, but it's honestly probably one of the most important drills, especially for linemen.
You going to watch tonight?
I'll watch a little bit. I mean, I have training going on. Obviously, I actually just added it to the DVR, so I'll be checking it out. But, it's the thing I was talking about a little bit too, Brent, where the wide receivers, tight ends, and the quarterbacks, it's like a blind date at the combine, right? Because you're throwing at guys you've never thrown to before. Yeah. All right. So the timing is not necessarily going to be there. When they're going to break out of their routes is not going to be there. So it's always kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge of what you're expecting. But overall, I'm going to watch it, man. It's the combine. Of course, I got to watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it probably because of Beyond, but it's background noise to me, to be honest with you.
Well, and let me ask you this. Something new at the Combine, too, I saw this year, and I think you were sitting right next to it, was the bench press. Where they actually, if you're a fan, you can go watch the bench press, right?
Yeah.
How was that atmosphere?
It was good. It's good. Yeah. And it starts around that afternoon on Wednesday, right when we're about to go on, because all of a sudden you start hearing all this noise that wasn't there. It's a quiet place. There's really not a lot of energy in the room until Wednesday afternoon, but then the bleachers and people come in. It's not like a big fan thing. I think the stuff inside of Lucas Oil, like that part is not in Lucas Oil. That's in the convention center. Mm-hmm. So some of those, like the bench press was in the convention center. But most things are in Lucas Oil Stadium. And so some of the fans can go to that. I think they cap it at a certain amount, so it's not like they try to fill the place up. But it's one thing about the whole deal with the Combine. There's not an energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Yeah, you go to the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. There's an energy. You go to playoff games or you go to football games in general. Even if it's not a big game, you still feel an energy. When you go to some of these events like the draft, there's an energy to the draft. Like there's a buzz, like, oh, what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
There's not that feel really at the combine. I mean, we're talking about a convention. We're talking about guys in underwear getting measured. We're talking about a lot of podium interviews and similar questions. So I don't want to say it's boring. I don't want to say it's not worth it. Like, I think we got some valuable stuff out of there, really do. But there's no, if even in the town, you don't feel like, wow, the bars are packed and look at all the people coming in. It's just not that kind of event. So it's real different in that sense.
See, it's funny because back in 2010 during the Combine, there was buzz for us. Okay, obviously it was Tim Tebow and there was some intrigue behind that.
Yeah, with the whole throwing.
Yeah, but for me personally, I mean, we had two guys by the name of Ndamukong Suh and Gerald McCoy. And I'm not sure if you remember how that whole thing went down, but like coming out of college, Ndamukong Suh was said to be a once-in-a-generational player, right? I have it on good authority. One of his last games, he played against Texas. And Texas had a first-rounder themselves at offensive, I think, guard. It might have been guard or tackle, whatever it was. But I have it on good authority that during that game, I think Suh had 4 sacks against this kid. And he defeated him so badly, Brent, that the kid got the yips and never amounted to anything in the NFL. Like the kid was like just broken that much from Ndamukong Suh during one game. And then that kid was a senior, by the way, too. I'm not going to name out anything, but like I've heard it on good authority. That's what happened with Ndamukong Suh. So obviously Suh was a monster coming out of college. Then you had Gerald McCoy, Oklahoma, was also a monster. And the whole buzz in our group, because once again I was with defensive linemen and linebackers, was the fact that who was going to be the legit guy, right? Like, is it going to be Suh? Is it going to be McCoy? And it's funny that we talk about the bench press. Because I remember when Suh did the bench press, I think he got like 38. I mean, he got a very high number. And Gerald McCoy might have gotten in the low 20s. And immediately everybody said, oh, and Ndamukong Suh all day. Gerald McCoy, you know, he falters at the bench press. He's going to be a first-round pick for sure, but he's not even close to Ndamukong Suh. All over a bench press. And like, from that moment on, it was like, oh, Suh's the man, and McCoy is just kind of like the second fiddle. And it's funny, too, man, because it's over just one drill, one bench press thing. And listen, I played football with Stephen Paya. Stephen Paya, last time I checked, I think he has the bench press record. I think he bench pressed 225 50-something times. Watching this guy in the Chicago Bears weight room, Brent, not exaggerating, he had his own bar for the bench press because, like, apparently lifting a straight bar wasn't good enough anymore. He had this bamboo bar. So, like, literally when he got it off the rack, it would be, like, shaking, like, trying to, so not only is he
trying to balance it.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got 4 plates on each side, whatever, 405. And then on top of it, he's got to balance this thing as it's wobbling. Anybody else, like me, I would have just dropped the thing on my chest. It would have been game over. But here's Stephen Paya's ripping out, 405 on a bamboo bar for, like, sets of 10. So, like, obviously, I've seen the best of the best. I've seen the creme de la creme, but guess what? And nothing against Stephen Paya. Fantastic guy and a pretty good football player. But Stephen Paya wasn't making, he's not making all pros because of his bench press, right? So, like, I always found it kind of funny that people wanted to knock Gerald McCoy so bad over just one bad showing at the bench press when they compare it to Ndamukong Suh. And I'm being nice to Gerald McCoy, too, because we have a history. At the Combine, the first time I met him, he called me Big Avatar. You remember the movie Avatar? Yeah. He goes, hey, what's up, Big Avatar? I go, oh, no, it's Austin. Oh, no, what's up, Big Avatar? I'm like, I've never talked to this dude in my entire life.
Well, Gerald McCoy, he's going to call you whatever he wants to call you. He's 6'4", 300 pounds.
Yeah, big dude.
So he probably calls anybody whatever he wants.
But here's the thing, too, though, Brent. If you compare Gerald McCoy's numbers and Ndamukong Suh's numbers.
I was just doing it. That's what I was looking up.
They're very comparable. And especially in terms of sacks, which is, the all king of stats, and in terms of defensive linemen, I think McCoy actually might have more sacks than Ndamukong Suh in a lot less games, if I'm not mistaken.
You are pretty close to right on the money with this. 5-time Pro Bowler for Suh. 3-time first-team All-Pro, and there's some second-team All-Pros in there, too. 58.5 sacks. Gerald McCoy, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, I think 2-time second-team All-Pro, 59.5 sacks.
There you go.
I mean, they've had identical careers.
Don't always buy into the bench press, man.
But now, where were they picked separately? Because obviously Suh was number 2 overall.
Yeah,
let's just double check.
Bradford was number 1. McCoy was what?
3. He was right behind.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying it was back and forth. It was like, who's going to go next after Bradford? Is it going to be McCoy or Suh? And I distinctly remember after that bench press, it was like, oh, Suh all day, Suh all day.
Here's what is interesting, though, perception. Because Sue is looked at as a guy who was kind of a pain in the butt.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Had some issues.
I mean, let's be honest. He's one of the most hated NFL players of all time.
If you don't look at stats, you would think, like I thought I was going to go into this, and I started looking at it because I was like, hey, Gerald McCoy outperformed him.
Yeah.
Well, Ndamukong Suh's had a heck of a career.
Absolutely.
He was Defensive Rookie of the Year, by the way, over McCoy. But, I mean, he's had a heck of a career. But perception-wise, because he's bounced around teams, been on 4 teams, also because of some of the dirty play stuff, like you said, one of the most hated guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if it feels like he's been as good as he has been.
Sure.
Meanwhile, McCoy almost feels like he's overachieved, even though he was a 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating what perception does until you actually look up the numbers.
Well, and listen, and I've told the story before too, Brent. In terms of Ndamukong Suh, I got nothing bad to say about the guy.
Yeah.
All right, because
you played with him.
I played with him for 5-6 weeks, spent some time with him, went out to eat with him, and believe me when I say,
Did he buy?
The rookies bought, even better. But in terms of like. Because obviously,
you want a rookie then.
Well, yeah, because obviously in Detroit, man, like I mean, he was the guy for a while.
Yeah.
And people recognize him. He's a very recognizable dude. And I'm talking every single kid that came up to him, every single parent that came up to him. He was the most gracious dude ever.
That's cool.
I mean,
Good to hear that.
He was an awesome guy in the community. And I say it like this: if Ndamukong Suh was born 3 decades earlier, he'd be celebrated as one of the best defensive tackles of all time. Okay. And Ndamukong Suh's only gripe and his only con about him is the fact that he was born too late. He was born in a generation that doesn't embrace the toughness, that doesn't embrace kind of the dirty stuff a little bit. Not to say he's a dirty player. I just think sometimes, your emotions get the best of you. Let's be honest, Brent, we talk about it all the time. Being a defensive lineman, you have to be a little crazy, okay? And what made Ndamukong Suh so good and still so good to this day is he's a little crazy on the field, obviously. So once again, I think the guy was just born in the wrong decade, but still a great player and also a very intelligent man, by the way.
Smart guy. And,
very smart guy.
And by the way, he lived in an era where if you make one mistake, that's the narrative. Like I just kind of did it. I'm guilty of it, right?
Yeah.
So interesting. Hey, Leonard Fournette tweeted last night. Did you see this?
I did not see it, but I heard about it.
Well, it's been deleted.
Yeah.
But he's like, where are these trade rumors coming from?
Yeah.
They're really interesting. Now, he just parted ways with his agent. He's still with Rock Nation. But is he doing his own agent work and trying to get out of Jacksonville? He's taken all his Jag stuff down off his social media, at least at last check. That was a couple weeks ago. I haven't checked again. But what's up with Leonard Fournette? Should the Jags be concerned? Do they have another issue on their hands? Not going forward, but maybe in 2020 with some of the cryptic messages from Leonard. Trying to go toe-to-toe with Yannick. We'll talk about it next. Action Sports Jax on ESPN690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Cold tonight into clear skies with a light inland frost and freeze near and west of I-95 as temperatures drop into the 30s. It'll be mostly sunny, breezy, and cool Friday, highs in the low to mid-60s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where for a limited time,
0% financing store-wide.
Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. My family and I invested in a Connecticut system from CGC Water a while ago, and we're so glad we did. The team at CGC Water makes it so easy to get the best quality water running through my entire home and the best tasting drinking water right at my sink. And it even makes the coffee taste better. Do yourselves a favor and start the new year off right. Financing options available with approved credit. Call 904-694-2424. Tell them Brent sent you or visit cgcwater.com, your local authorized independent Connecticut dealer. A family dinner, a birthday party, or maybe it's lunch. Make Rena's Pizza part of your plans. Want a fresh one? Rena's has fresh ingredients and fresh food throughout the menu. And the pizza is so good. Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. We love bringing the show to Rena's Pizza. Find your way to Rena's Pizza. Rena's has you covered with 5 locations in Northeast Florida: Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and Neptune Beach. Rena's Pizza.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where the price you see online is the price you pay when you arrive. No gimmicks or tricks like add-on fluff stickers some other dealerships use to add thousands to the price. Not here. Fast, fair, and transparent is what you always can expect at Gordon. And right now, during our Auto Show discount event, take up to $11,000 off new Silverados, up to $5,000 off new Equinox. Find us at the money-saving end of Landing Boulevard and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Hey, it's Mike Golick from Golick & Wingo. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest-growing sports station in Jacksonville. Clearly, it's because I'm on every morning from 6 till 10 a.m. But this isn't about me. It's about your business. Get your business noticed today. First Coast is making the switch to ESPN 690, and there's no better time to get on our team than right now. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
It's happening, people. Our friends at Arlington Toyota are getting a brand new state-of-the-art showroom. And that means the old stuff is coming down, and so are Arlington's prices. I'm talking up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020 models. How about a 2019 Toyota 4Runner? It's not $31,755. Now it's only $26,991. That's $26,991 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota 4Runner at Arlington. How about a 2019 Toyota Camry? It's not $19,745. No. Now it's just $16,291. Just $16,291 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Camry at Arlington. Plus, you get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, which includes a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Construction is underway, and prices are coming down at Arlington Toyota. So get in today and pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/construction sale for offer details.
A family dinner, a birthday party, or maybe it's lunch. Make Renna's Pizza part of your plans. Want a fresh one? Renna's has fresh ingredients and fresh food throughout the menu. And oh, the pizza is so good. Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. We love bringing the show to Renna's Pizza. Find your way to Renna's Pizza. Renna's has you covered with 5 locations in Northeast Florida: Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and Neptune Beach. Renna's Pizza.
Each year, the Greater Jacksonville Area USO touches the lives of more than 250,000 local active duty military members and their families. The Players proudly supports the work of the USO of Greater Jacksonville. It's 11 days until the Players.
You've enjoyed the pleasures of, or always wanted a luxury vehicle? Now you can step up to the highly affordable collection of Edition 30 luxury Infiniti SUVs and sedans. Celebrating 30 years of Infiniti luxury driving pleasures. Atlantic Infiniti invites you to bring them your trade. They'll work with you to move you up to the luxury Infiniti of your choice. 642-0200 for your personal tour of the remarkable Infiniti Edition 30 collection at the one and only Atlantic Infiniti. 642-0200 or at AtlanticInfinity.com.
Zero Res can clean your carpets, upholstery, area rugs, tile, grout, granite countertops, and much more. And right now is the time to call Zero Res because they're offering the hottest price of the year. You get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $99. Call Zero Res at 904-287-5727.
Do you know a child who is deaf, hard of hearing, blind, or visually impaired? The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine is a fully accredited, tuition-free state public school that gives children an edge for a lifetime of success. FSDB is nationally recognized for its educational services designed for students' unique communication and accessibility needs. Eligible pre-K and kindergarten through 12th grade students benefit from small class sizes, advanced technology, and various recreation, extracurricular, and performing arts activities. Transportation and boarding services are free to any eligible deaf or blind student, kindergarten through high school, no matter where the student lives in Florida. My name is Trent Ferguson, and I'm a proud graduate of this wonderful school. This place changes lives. To learn more information or to apply for enrollment, call 800-344-3737 or log on to www.fsdbk12.org.
The Players' Championship is almost here. Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Do you have your tickets yet? Win a couple of weekly Captain's Club tickets and a shopping spree in the new PGA Tour fan shop with me. Enter to win right now on the contest page on ESPN690.com.
Hi, this is Grayson Marshall Jr., 2016 ACC legend, and you're listening to ESPN 690.
Yeah, I think Leonard did everything that we wanted him to do. I mean, you talk about a workhorse, a guy that carried the load, a guy that had a ton of receptions. We were able to, he did a lot of great things for us. Coming down the backfield, protection is probably one of the things that, he really did a heck of a job of this year. It was unfortunately not just Leonard, but everyone. We didn't get into the end zone enough. So I think as we, get better and, around ourselves or the players, and we get better in the year coming. And I think that we have to do a better job coaching-wise situationally in the red zone to be able to score those touchdowns, and I think they'll come.
Oh, backdoor slap at John DeFilippo in the red zone, and maybe rightfully so, given their record in the red zone a year ago. That was Doug Marrone, of course. A couple things to pass along. One, if you were listening earlier in the show, John Bachman was telling us a big story they were following about the family, 3 kids that were missing. They found them. So another update and a good update and a positive update. That's all I think we know at the time. But they did find them and the family. So it looks to be everybody is safe and sound. If you were following along and wondering, you can always check out the latest updates on that on CBS 47 and Fox 30 on the news side. The other big story we're following all day long today, and it's part sad story and a day of mourning of sorts for a lot of high school football family members in the state of Florida and in Jacksonville, and especially over at the Bowl School and Lee High School, the passing of legendary coach Corky Rogers, but in part mourning, in part celebration of really a legend, larger than life in terms of high school football coaches. So much so that if you look at some of the reaction going around, we'll talk about Leonard Fournette in just a moment here, but I wanted to share this with you because we tried to get some of these folks on the show and texting back and forth and all those things, but I'll read you some of the tweets. First of all, the Bowl School put out a statement. It says, a coach will impact more people in 1 year than the average person will in an entire lifetime. I just said on TV a short time ago, think about that, in 1 year. Well, Corky Rogers coached for 45 years. Do the math on that one, right?
A lot of lives, yeah.
Coach Steve Spurrier retweeted that, said, one of the best, ! Manny Diaz, Miami head football coach. R.I.P. to Corky Rogers, one of the most legendary coaches in state history. 10 state championships, more importantly, countless lives influenced. He will be missed. Leroy Butler, who we tried to connect with and just couldn't do so, played for Corky Rogers at Lee. He said, all capital letters, by the way, high school coaches are rarely appreciated, and they really do tons for kids. When a poor kid from the projects in Jacksonville needs help like lunch money or shoes, pencils, and backpack, well, that kid was me, and Coach Rogers was my hero. R.I.P. Coach. So strong words from Leroy Butler. Chris Ryer works with the Jags now, but if you go back in the late 90s, that 1996 team will be one of the most celebrated Bowls teams of all time. If you ask Chris, it's the best team ever come out of Jacksonville. And maybe he's right. I wasn't here during that time, but he had a long string of tweets, including showing him kicking, as he had to be a fill-in kicker for Des White, a former NFL wide receiver. And it's a picture of Corky Rogers in those short shorts, high socks.
Nice. Classic look.
In front of the 93-95 state championship sign and watching Chris kick. So you should check out Chris Ryer on Twitter and see all the tweets he mentioned. I think it kind of puts it in a nutshell, the impact Corky Rogers had on his players. Chris is at SEERYER on Twitter, so at SEERYER. Chipper Jones, to one of the most impactful coaches of my life. I only got 1 year with you, but I'm grateful for every second. You taught me that repetition, discipline, and attention to detail is what wins. Your reputation and record speak for themselves. R.I.P. Bowls football coach Corky Rogers.
I'm sorry, who's that last one?
Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones, gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah,
obviously, baseball legend, played at the baseball, but he
player
played a
as well.
football season under Corky Rogers. So
that's right.
There we go. It's more than just football, right? We've been saying that the entire day. So the tributes go on, and I think they will. We had Gene Fournette on earlier. If you missed it, really fun conversation with Gene, and he knows Corky really well, the history behind it. So if you go back a little bit later and listen to the first hour of the show, you'll hear Gene Fournette, and there will be more to come, I think, in the next couple of days, weeks ahead. And as we approach the 2020 high school football season, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bowls and other schools honor the legacy of Corky Rogers. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Coos here on a Thursday. NFL Combine continues. Jaguars topics continue. It's the first show in a long time. We haven't sat here and talked 10 or 15 minutes about Yannick Ngakoue.
Sure.
But instead we have Leonard Fournette.
I know.
So last night he tweets.
Oh, Twitter. It's the gift that keeps on giving,
Brent. It really is. And I actually have a question about that in a moment. But Leonard tweeted something to the effect of, where are these trade rumors coming from? Well, there were no trade rumors until he said it.
Of course.
And then I don't know if it was late last night or early today, but it was deleted.
I went to grab it today because I was going to put it on our Instagram, and it was gone.
Yeah, so somebody got how many times do these guys delete tweets?
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
And so, it is interesting you just bring up. The gift that keeps on giving is Twitter.
Yeah.
Is there a sense, this is the offseason, some guys go do stuff, right? Hey, listen, if you work out, and even if you work your butt off, that's a few hours a day. There's 24 hours in a day. You can go spend time with the family. You can go vacation a little bit. You can visit things. Is there a sense that in the offseason, these guys almost have too much time on their hands? And because there's so much attention on them day to day during the season, like I'm almost getting the sense that they can't do without the attention.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not, that sounds like in a bad way to say it, but in reality, nobody's really talking day to day in terms of all this media in front of a locker or how many yards and touchdowns he had. You go months without that. You get so used to that.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like, and not just in Leonard's case, I almost feel like social media has become kind of the resource to fill that gap in their day to get the attention because the likes and the retweets and all the interactions, whatever they say will happen. I mean, I'm trying to be psychologist in this, but it just is like, what are we doing here? Or does Leonard want out of Jacksonville?
No. So, listen, and 9 times out of 10, I always try to take the player's side, right? Like, I'm a former player myself, so I always try to at least relate to the current NFL player, all right? I may not always agree, but I always try to see where they're coming from, and then I form my opinions from that. And when it comes to social media with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, like, yeah, I get it. I'm not the most social media savvy person because I don't have Instagram, okay? I mean, I have Twitter and I have Facebook and all that. But I think nowadays, Brent, and I get it. I sound old when I say this, but like even when I played, in the NFL, Twitter was still kind of a newer thing. And Twitter can be used as a tool for getting endorsements. It can be a tool for obviously sharing your thoughts and, getting an opinion across. It can obviously get you in trouble as well. I always just approach Twitter as a way just to try to, when I played in the NFL, was just to try to be funny and to show that, listen, even though I'm in the NFL, I'm not trying to take myself so seriously. So I was never the guy that had the motivating quotes. I was never the guy that had the cryptic stuff. I was just trying to make people laugh and show, hey, even though, you guys put me on a pedestal, I'm just like everybody else. So that's how I handle my social media. Everybody does it differently. But what social media is, especially now in 2020, is that it's the transparency to the life of an NFL athlete, a professional athlete. And with that transparency, the biggest thing that Twitter can do, the biggest thing that Instagram can do is that it shows you instant gratification. And by that, I mean the like button, the retweet button. It's an addicting thing, And like, I mean, I've been there, Brent. I'm sure you've been there. Like, people always trying to outdo themselves and see, listen, how many likes can I get? How many retweets I can get? Well, when you're on such a big pedestal, when you're a big name on an NFL team, obviously, no matter what you say, no matter how many misspellings, grammar errors, or whatever else it is, people are going to interact with you, man, because you carry that much pomp and circumstance. Now, with that being said, with Leonard Fournette, like, does he want out of Jacksonville? Was this all just kind of a cryptic thing? Honestly, dude, I have no idea. But at the end of the day, whether it's Yannick Ngakoue, whether it's Leonard Fournette, whether it's Jalen Ramsey, I mean, they all have something in common, man. And they all live to see their stuff get retweeted. They all live to see their stuff get liked, and they all live to see their stuff get talked about. Whether it's you and I breaking down the Yannick Ngakoue, tweets every single day with the serious
which
music.
has become a fun game. We appreciate it.
Oh, dude, I'm all about it. But like, please understand, I'm not trying to take it too seriously. Like, I'm trying to just make a joke of it. But it's how NFL players are now, Brent, and it's how professional athletes. I think it's anybody with a lot of popularity is like now.
Yeah, I think, you're right. It's like a bit of a drug.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? And I again, it sounds like trying to play psychologist, but I do think at this time of year when all the draft hopefuls are getting the attention, Tom Brady, the quarterbacks, who's going where, who's going there, I think there's something to it that they like some of the attention and say, and by the way, we talk about this a lot, and this might be from a business standpoint, like you mentioned, the branding. The more you keep your name out there, the more people are talking about you, the more buzz and maybe the more dollars at the end of the day. So I'm not even necessarily knocking it. I don't listen, for our job, it's great. But I also, it's fascinating to me where it comes from and when it comes. And I like the Jan stuff I can almost see. Because I feel like, again, I'm playing psychologist here, but I feel like the Jan stuff is he wants to talk, but he knows it's not the smartest thing to talk right now.
Sure.
And so he just reaches this boiling point sometimes.
Yeah.
And his outlet to at least say something and feel better is that. And I think we've probably all been there even on social media. You can use that as an outlet. So I think it's a little bit different. And maybe there's a little part of it that everybody goes nuts on the cryptic tweet stuff with Jan. So now he's kind of feeding into that.
Yeah.
Like I think Jalen is a guy that fed into that stuff. You know, he kind of would and I think Leonard's smart enough to do that and also doesn't mind the backlash.
Sure.
Like he doesn't mind that we're having this conversation about it.
No.
Whatever. Just rub right off his shoulder, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see. Bottom line is, are you concerned, though, that Leonard might become a dramatic situation as well? I mean, he does have some things that continue to add up to say, I want out of here, too.
Listen, they always say where there's smoke, there's fire in terms of sports media. So is Leonard Fournette on the chopping block? I don't think so. I don't think it'd be very wise at this moment in his career and where the Jaguars are at. But obviously that rumor came from somewhere. And if it got his attention, but I'm saying, but if it came from him, Brent, well, he had heard from someplace, right? And it's probably a pretty reliable source. So once again, where there's smoke, there's fire. But I'm thinking Leonard Fournette's going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar here, at least for this next year.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. Yeah. But I think the bigger question is, will he be it for the next year after that?
Yeah.
With the 5th-year option. Ballin' and Fallin'. Final comment or two about Corky Rogers and what's happening in the world of sports here on a Thursday. Next, to wrap it up, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz.
Who should be the highest paid athlete in all this? We're not even having a Super Bowl conversation about, I don't know, the defensive side of the football. What we do know is that the conversation about the quarterback always rules every conversation about the NFL. Is we're going to have this conversation about who wins the Super Bowl, then what's next? What's next for Patrick Mahomes is a payday.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz from 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
It's a leap year, so leap into savings now at your neighborhood Ace. Wild Delight Birdseed, your choice of 3 blends, just $9.99 each. In colder weather, high-energy suet is an especially good bird food. Now 69 cents per packet at Ace. Fertilome weed and feed for St. Augustine grass, just $19.99 per bag. For fertilizers, garden soil, potting mix, mulch, and more, shop your nearby Ace Hardware. Find great deals and the location nearest you at acehardware.com. Sale ends March 2nd.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ever wish we could get a new car with low monthly payments?
We can at Community First. Great rates, fast approvals, and they'll even delay your first payment for 90 days.
Ever wish we weren't driving a little scooter down JTB?
Wishing for a new car? With Community First, you get a great low rate and delay your first payment for 90 days. Learn more at communityfirstfl.org. Community First. Love where you bank. Insured by NCUA.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
Being a victim of medical malpractice can leave you feeling like you've lost control. I'm Eli Anajar from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. Medical mistakes happen more often than you think. Understanding your legal options following medical malpractice is important. If you think you've been the victim of medical malpractice, call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation. And take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville. Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
Hey everybody, Trey Wingo here from Golic and Wingo. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jackson. It's clear Northeast Florida has great taste in radio. I mean, you're listening to me every morning, right? Join the ESPN 690 team and get your business notice today. The First Coast is making the switch to ESPN 690, and there's no better time to get your business in front of them. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
I'm Glenn Levine, a board-certified civil trial lawyer. That means the Florida bars recognize me as an expert in the field of civil trial. As a trial lawyer, I'm trained to investigate every aspect of your case. If you've been involved in a legal dispute and are not sure of your options, call me, Glenn Levine, at the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville.
Spay or neuter your pet. Help them live a longer, happy life. First Coast No More Homeless Pets has free and low-cost programs available now. Make your appointment today. Call 425-0005, 425-0005, or fcnmhp.org.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from Action Sports Jackson on ESPN 690. Smart speakers are becoming part of everyday life, so why not use it to listen to the radio? Tell Alexa, Google Home, or any other speaker to play ESPN 690. Give it a shot weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Dak Prescott? Oh, definitely. I mean, it's exactly where we want to be with Dak. I think what he's done to this point, speaks to itself. I mean, and really, Dak is he's in a business situation right now. I've gone through this as a head coach with a number of my players in the past, and I think, like anything, it's just time to be patient and let the business people work out the business matter, and that's really where we are. Dak is in his personal flight to get a contract done.
Personal flight. Very nice, Mike McCarthy. Talking about Dak Prescott, and I think Prescott's going to they'll figure it out. They'll make it work. Yeah. So I don't think there's as much drama in that. I do find it interesting. I said it earlier in the show. He hasn't talked to the Cowboys about it, and it's been a topic, but he hadn't talked since September, I guess, his agent and the team. Mm-hmm. And maybe there was this understanding that they wanted to get it done all along, and Dak was going to get it done. But there's also been those crazy numbers thrown out. I remember at one time it was like $40 million. I ain't paying $40 million for Dak Prescott. I hate to tell you. You can ring that bell all you want.
I mean, I'm not going to ring it now if you're not going to pay him.
I mean, would you pay $40 million for – I mean, again, that was like a middle of the season thing. I mean, now we might be in the 30s. It's just – I get – listen, I always get the cost of doing business stuff, but then you also have to have a cap somewhere along the way. My interesting point is it never seemed to have – like Dallas media – national media will cling on to that one and make it contentious. It never has felt that contentious because the Cowboys have kind of always said, hey, we want to do it. Mm-hmm. And they haven't said too much other than that, at least from my opinion. Now, I'm not there all the time. But whereas Jan, at least being here and kind of knowing the ins and outs of this one is kind of contentious. There's some bad feelings there that you have to overcome the feelings in addition to maybe the money barrier that exists.
Let me ask you this. In terms of Dak Prescott, because he has to get paid, obviously. Amari Cooper, he's got to be paid. And then one can make an argument that Byron Jones, your lockdown corner, has to be paid as well. You can't pay everybody. So in terms of, I guess, interest of like priority, who's going first, second, and third? Because Zeke got paid already, so you can't put Zeke in there anymore.
Yeah, and I think the better question. Well, yeah, okay. I'll answer your question. I say in the order you named them. Okay. You can't bring in Mike McCarthy and not give him a quarterback.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you got to let it fly with Dak. I don't know if he's your Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't. Mm-hmm. He's certainly outperformed, and he's done well. But now that you've signed Zeke and you have Amari Cooper, potentially, you have this line. I mean, you've got to keep the quarterback. You have no choice. So, I mean, that's probably why they're raising the dollars, because they kind of know that. They really have nowhere to go. Amari Cooper, I don't really think they have many places to go because of what they gave up in that first-round pick. Mm-hmm. I mean, so you've already kind of like the Rams did, unless you're going to recoup that in some way, which is not going to happen, they have to sign Amari Cooper. And Byron Jones, who maybe is a deal that you could get done. It might be the most conservative of the bunch in terms of the deals, in terms of production and what you would pay. It would be third on the list. It just has to be. Like, sometimes the situation dictates what you do, like it or not. The situation here in Jacksonville somewhat, and again, whether you agree or not, you had to make a really tough call, if not, dictated that Blake Bortles was sticking around. It dictated that they need to go find the best quarterback in free agency last year, Nick Foles. Mm-hmm. It's kind of dictating that they need to keep Yannick Ngakoue in some capacity in 2020 and hopefully beyond, but definitely in 2020. So the situation you can't run from. And in Dallas, that's the situation. And you helped create that situation because they didn't make a very tough decision. Should they have signed Ezekiel Elliott to what they signed Ezekiel Elliott? Because if you look at the irreplaceable part of those positions, and maybe we can argue on Byron Jones a little bit, but the other two positions are harder to replace than Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
I think.
No.
And the trend shows that. It's obviously hard to find a franchise quarterback. It's hard to find a number one wide receiver, too, that can really separate from the other receivers. And Ezekiel Elliott's a special back, but unless you have the other parts, you're probably not doing much. So it's an interesting situation.
And one could argue Amari Cooper really turned that team around, right? Because before he got there, that offense was, even with Ezekiel Elliott, was pretty stagnant. And then all of a sudden, here comes Amari Cooper. Check this out. And all of a sudden, you have a very high power and explosive offense.
Absolutely. All right, balling and falling, man. What you got?
Balling. So obviously with the Combine comes the Combine stories, Brent. And one of my favorites I've read so far is D3 St. John's University in Minnesota, which actually recruited me out of high school as well. Ben Barch, who is an offensive tackle. Have you seen this?
I saw it.
Okay. Came into college, 6'6", 250 pounds. Not a big offensive tackle, not what you want out of your hosses up front. Ended up putting on some weight and obviously made it to the Combine, so he did something right. He now weighs 309 pounds. Not the crazy story. The crazy story is how he got to 309 pounds. And it was a recipe that he would drink every single day. And you know me, Brent, I'm a smoothie junkie. I love my smoothies, man. I have the same one every single day. Check out this recipe for his, caloric intake that had to be increased. Here's what he added to his smoothie every single day. 7 scrambled eggs. Scrambled, not raw, scrambled eggs. A big tub, in quotes, of cottage cheese. Quick grits. Peanut butter. Banana. And obviously we're talking about a smoothie. You need to have some kind of liquid base. What was that liquid base? Gatorade. So once again, 7 scrambled eggs, a big tub of cottage cheese, quick grits, peanut butter, a banana, and Gatorade, all combined up into a smoothie to help you gain weight.
I
would have just did steroids.
I say we make it. I say we make that smoothie and do a taste test.
Oh,
let's do it.
Oh,
let's do it. I'm in.
Let me see.
Read it again.
Oh, okay. 7 scrambled eggs. Dude, just imagine putting scrambled eggs in a liquid. That's disgusting. All right.
We need a blender or something.
7 scrambled eggs, big tub of cottage cheese, quick grits, peanut butter, a banana, and a Gatorade.
I'm giving that to Ty tonight.
Here's what we're going to do. Are we at the studio tomorrow? We don't know yet. If we're at the studio tomorrow, I'll bring in my Vitamix because, I call it the ranch, right? Because it has so many ponies. It's got a big engine. You know what I'm saying? It's got that big engine.
More horsepower than half the cars
That's what
out
I'm
there.
saying. I'll bring in my Vitamix, and we'll make up this smoothie live, and we'll see how it tastes like if we're in the studio.
Okay, we probably won't.
Well, then we'll wait till Monday.
What I'm wondering is, should we wait until after you fight?
Hey, I'm not chugging this thing. I'm going to have a sip and casually give it to you. I'm not drinking this whole thing. But I'll try it. Should we do it Monday?
Yeah, let's do it Monday.
Monday. All right.
I think
cool.
we're going to be. I think we'll be out of the studio tomorrow. So let's plan on that.
Well, we'll stay in touch and we'll find out.
Yeah.
But needless to say, dude, balling. The guy did what he had to do. He gained the weight, regardless of the crazy means. Props to him.
I just put on Twitter, and I guarantee I know what the response is going to be. But I sincerely asked this question: what is it harder to do? gain 50 pounds or lose 50 pounds?
Ooh.
Or make your...
I think you have to word it like gain the right amount of 50 pounds. You know what I mean? Like,
well, does that get the right amount of 50 pounds? I mean,
it works because he's at the combine, you know? I mean,
come on, you can be a sloppy offensive lineman. Doesn't matter.
Coming from the dude who had to put on 30 pounds from the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, it wasn't the easiest thing, but I'm not saying it was hard, and it was kind of fun to eat a lot.
It was. So it wasn't. See, like, I kind of feel like, it sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Hey, have some pizza, like all this stuff. Like, you can gain that incrementally but I'm talking about like say in a year or 6 months or whatever the time, and you can even say 25 pounds, 30, whatever the weight. But like, it's hard to force yourself to eat that much if you're not used to eating that much, isn't it?
Oh, no, absolutely. So, like, I've told the story before. Coming into college, I was 215 pounds, and obviously that wasn't going to cut it at defensive end. So my coach made me gain weight. And it's funny that quick grits were one of the ingredients of the smoothie because I had to eat grits, Brent, non-stop. And a kid coming from Wisconsin where we just do oatmeal, we don't do grits, that was something new to me. It was chewing on like sandpaper the whole time.
All right, real quick, my ball on is 3 state championships in soccer yesterday for this area. Clean sweep in girls. Bishop Kenny girls just won in hoops. They'll go to a state championship Saturday. Bartram Trail is in the state championship along with Ponte Vedra tomorrow. So in soccer, they're going for 5 state championships on the girls' side, and Bishop Kenny trying for one on Saturday in basketball. What you got for
Props to them. So, Paul, let's say until tomorrow, it's going to be that coach again we talked about yesterday. We teased a little bit. But Friday, let's get after it, man.
Yeah, we'll do that. We want to bring that topic up.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to bring it up today because we're celebrating a guy,
of course,
in a different way. A guy that did it for 45 years. And once again, we spent a lot of the show talking about Corky Rogers and his legacy, his impact, and larger-than-life figure. Once again, thoughts and prayers to all his friends and family, his wife Linda, his 2 daughters, and everybody that's been impacted. But in a way, I feel like it's a celebratory way of honoring a man who left an impacting legacy for sure on an entire city, an entire sport in the state of Florida in high school football. So our best to the family once again. And I think we'll continue to talk about Corky Rogers for days, months, and years to come as his legacy certainly will live for a long, long time. For Austin Lane, I'm Brent Martineau. We'll see you on the TV side. We talk more about Corky Rogers and more from the Combine coming up on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
It happens only once every 4 years, and it's happening this Saturday. Leap Day 2020. This Saturday, the 20th.